smaller shocks or anything in the economy, it may not necessarily be a linear at 3%.
Meanwhile, Reserve Bank Governor Illicit says he does not view the decision as a win for the bank.
Only one winner here is the South Africans who are now going to enjoy a low inflation economy.
Kganyago says over the next 2 years, the 3% target could lead to at least 5 interest rate cuts, depending on several factors considered by the Monetary Policy Committee. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Police Minister Senzo Mchunu's Chief of Staff Cedric Nkabinde will take the hot seat when the Parliament's ad hoc committee probing police corruption resumes today. Nkabinde's appearance comes a few weeks after Mchunu's testimony where he denied allegations of corruption and interference in police operations. Nkabinde is also expected to face similar questions about his role, leading to Mchunu's directive to disband the political killings task team last December. Babalo Ndenze reports.
Cedric Nkabinde has been mentioned several times in the ad hoc committee and how he rose through the ranks from just dealing with case dockets to being appointed Senzo Mchunu's chief of staff. Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi had also told the committee during his evidence that he met Mchunu through Nkabinde before his appointment as police minister last year. At a press conference in October, Nkabinde mentioned his upcoming appearance in Parliament following a police raid at his house and how it left him feeling harassed.
I contacted my lawyers about this incident. Then my lawyers contacted or engaged an ad hoc committee in Parliament, which is sitting as we speak, to report this harassment and intimidation because I'm one of the witnesses.
Nkabinde's appearance follows National Director of Public Prosecutions Shamila Patoi, who addressed allegations of organized crime networks infiltrating the criminal justice system. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News.
And the longest U.S. government shutdown has finally ended after 43 days. This paves a way for government agencies to open after hundreds of thousands of workers were left unpaid. The government entered a shutdown last month when lawmakers failed to pass new funding bills. The fallout suspended food to many low-income Americans and delayed thousands of flights for airline passengers. U.S. President Donald Trump has now signed the bill.
Great Republican leaders and congressmen and senators who are here and frankly spent a long time in Washington getting this thing to go away. I also want to thank the broad coalition of Americans that stood with us in this fight.
Gold is trading at $4,206.63 an ounce. The rand is at 17.08 to the dollar, 22.41 to the pound, 19.79 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $62.64 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North between the Golden Highway and the Deep Cliff interchange. There's also queuing traffic along the R21 South, approaching Barber Road, coming out of the OR Tambo interchange.
And in your sport, Nigeria's footballers end their boycott in time for tonight's World Cup qualifier with Gabon. Springbok side to play Italy will be announced this afternoon at 2. And the Proteas coach, Shukri Conrad, says tomorrow's first test with India at Eden Gardens will be the biggest challenge of his career.
Gauteng is fine, becoming partly cloudy later with isolated afternoon thunder showers expected. Johannesburg starting at 17 degrees, peaking at 32. Pretoria 18 and 32 as well. Vereeniging 15 and 30 degrees. The top story in EW and the hour, President Cyril Ramaphosa has made minor changes to his cabinet, firing the DA's Dion George as Minister of Forestries, Fisheries and the Environment.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
6 minutes after 7 o'clock. It's a Thursday morning. It's the 13th of November, the year of our Lord, 2025. Welcome to the program. Indeed, my name is Bongani Bingwa. Thrilled to be in your company as always. I'm not alone. Amoramila is here. No more birthday outfit, birthday makeup. Birthday smile. Was it over that quickly? Good morning.
Good morning, Bob. Morning 702. It's still my birthday month. Hey, wala peace.
Muteo Haripa, good morning.
Morning, Bongs.
So much for you and I to chat about.
Yes.
That mini budget yesterday. Significant shifts in our monetary policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing mini about it, actually. Yeah. But so much good news, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was really good to go to a budget and hear a budget where you weren't as concerned. I think there's been a lot of work done, and it's because at the back of the backlash that we saw in the initial budget. So the pushback really made Treasury work extra hard to make sure the country is on the fiscal path. There's a little bit more money to work with because, of course, SARS keeps doing what it has to do, and that's what's put us in a good position. In terms of growth, we're not nearly where we need to be, but yeah, some great green shoots are coming out of yesterday.
But hopefully what we heard yesterday sets the scene for some actual impactful growth. I've got my producers Bapelile and Rupfiwa taking your calls. Karabo is here for social media. Balisa hopefully won't be finding any random songs. KG out for the day. He's starting clocks elsewhere.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
9 minutes after 6 o'clock. Do you ever feel that the news cycle is just moving at breakneck speed and there's so much to keep up with? There's this commission of inquiry. There's that ad hoc committee investigating this. There's yet another commission of inquiry. Then there is a process to invest. I mean, so much. On Monday, we spoke to Songa Zozibi looking at the road accident fund because, again, we'd sort of taken our eye off that particular ball. You may remember a recent conversation I had with the son of Fort Talata, one of the Craddock Four, Lukanya, who's really been on this admirable crusade to make sure that his father's death was not in vain. So now this week was meant to be a commission of inquiry. I'm not laughing, but it's just what South Africa is, right? A commission of inquiry to go back to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Inquiry to figure out why the prosecutions that were recommended in that inquiry have not been effected. Can you imagine a scenario, and it won't be a few years away, where we'll be having a commission of inquiry looking into why the Zondo Commission of Inquiry recommendations were not effected? It's a very likely scenario. So today, we'll delve into that. Our EWN colleague, Khumutso Modise, has been keeping an eye on that. Listen, if you want bite-sized chunks of the news cycle, follow Khumutso Modise on TikTok and Instagram. She really, really does some excellent work there. And it'll give you a sense of what's going on in bite-sized chunks very, very quickly. But also we have seen in all these processes that many politicians and their networks really don't look over their shoulders very much because they know that if they are caught, they've got political cover. We've got a denuded prosecutorial authority that lacks capacity and know-how and is compromised. That's what the NDPP herself has said, the National Director of Public Prosecutions. And so if it ever gets to court, sometimes we know the NPA will get laughed out of court. So they don't look over their shoulders very much. After all the bad news we've brought you, we've got some good news. There's a piece of legislation that's already been passed by both houses of parliament. It's sitting on the president's desk, awaiting his signature. If passed, it will change the way administration works in South Africa, and there'll be a very clear separation between the administrative and political functions of governance in this country. We'll speak to Dr. Ivor Chipkin about that, and I thought we need some good news, right? We need one kind of win. And then, celebrating a century of excellence, we're going to be speaking to Gallo Music just before 9.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
So here's our shout out this morning. It's 12 minutes after 6 o'clock. And I think it's a fun one. If nothing else, what it should do is it should spark considerations if you are in a particular stage of your life or at this particular stage of your life. I want to know from you, do you yourself hold or have you heard of unconventional views on relationships or marriage? Do you have a view, or do you know people who hold a view that is unconventional? And we can talk about some of the newer things that have become, I don't want to say vogue, but certainly that we now know about, right? Things like open marriages, polyamory, those are fascinating enough. I'm not necessarily looking at that, although if that's what you hold as a view, we'll hear it. I'm talking about more practical things. For example, do you have a LAT marriage, an LAT marriage? A living apart together marriage. I mentioned to Africa Melane, I know a couple who married quite later in life. They both had young adult children or children who were in their teens at pivotal moments in their lives, writing matric, approaching matric, starting university, that sort of thing. And they both decided that they weren't going to disrupt their children's lives and households just because they decided they were in love with each other. They also thought practically neither of them had a house big enough to accommodate everyone in their new arrangement. The one side didn't want a new father and the other side didn't want a new mother. And they thought, okay, Tina siyajola ne? You and me, we are doing this thing. Keep the kids out of it. Yes, we'll visit each other and we'll hang around with each other. The kids will get to know each other. We'll do all of the normal stuff, but we won't impose this newfound romance of ours as adults on our children. So they opted for a LAT marriage, an LAT marriage, a living apart together marriage. There's a new thing, I didn't know about this, a marriage with an expiry date and renewal option. So people sign a contract, because that's what a marriage is. It's a contract, it's a legal contract. They sign a contract for 5 years or whatever the term they decide, and they say at the end of this, we have the option to renew if this is what we want. I know couples who sleep in separate bedrooms because the husband snores really, really loudly and the wife simply cannot abide it. I mean, of course, they spend time together, but on days where she might have an early start or a long day and she needs the rest, she says, I can't sleep when I sleep next to this man. He's so loud. I hear him even from the next room. So they sleep in separate rooms. Some people do it as a kind of a companion marriage, companion relationship. This is your best friend, might be somebody of the opposite sex or whatever, but you choose to marry not because there's any romantic interest or attachment, but you decide this is the person I would want to make decisions about me if I were no longer able to do so myself. And this is my best friend. You know, a Will and Grace type arrangement. There's no romantic interest in each other, but we've decided actually we like each other so much, we're never apart. And even when we try to be in relationships, people are so threatened by this friendship that it ends up not working. So let's get married to each other then. So are those good enough examples? Give us a call on 011 883 0702. We'll take your WhatsApp voice notes on 072 702 1702. Do you hold, do you have, or have you heard of an unconventional view of relationships or marriage, Amo?
Couples who have different religions. I find that so confusing, Bongs. You find that the wife goes to this church and the husband goes to the other, but they live in the same house. That for me is always just like, yo.
You would struggle with that idea.
I would struggle because it's already a struggle if you support different teams. If one supports Orlando Pirates and the other supports Kaizer Chiefs, like in my household, it's very difficult.
It's bad enough that he supports Chiefs.
Yeah.
Football is a kind of religion of its own. In one sense, Mateo?
I think it's having open relationships while in the marriage. I think that's one I've heard of that I thought, I don't know what the technicalities of that will be. Seeing other people while you are with each other.
I'm not secure enough of that. A sample of one. Yeah. I'm not secure enough. I saw something the other day, a conversation where somebody said, we have so much information about relationships in the modern world, we're not taught enough about friendships. And sometimes people seeking friendship think the only way they can have it is if there's some kind of other relationship with it. And that perhaps people in open relationships are simply seeking friendships outside of their main person. Maybe that's what it might be. All right, we'll take your WhatsApp voice notes on your unconventional views or experiences of relationships or marriage?
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
Well, of course, looking at developments in the cabinet, President Cyril Ramaphosa making changes. The DA's Dion George is out, and there are lots of speculative reasons as to what that might be about. There's been speculation, for example, that it's to do with internal ructions within the Democratic Alliance. People have said, they've leveled all kinds of accusations against the now former minister. Apparently he was rude. There are those who say, no, this is about different groups lobbying in the forestry, fisheries and environment. So in other words, there's been a fight about, does he support anti-hunting rules and legislation? There's just so much that is murky about Dion George, but he has left and he's no longer the Minister of Forestries, Fisheries and the Environment. He's been replaced by the DA's spokesperson, Willie Okamp.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
Mutel, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I want to know this morning from you and 702 Landers, Bongani, have you had to endure something in the short term for you to enjoy the long-term benefits?
Ooh, what comes readily to mind? Going to gym.
Did you finally fit in that suit you like?
I think I am in better shape at 51 than I was at 31. I eat better. I exercise more regularly. I just look after myself in ways I just wasn't doing when I was 31. And sometimes it's been quite a bit of pain.
Yeah.
But the long-term gains over time now, because it's not just something I started yesterday, over time the gains have been significant. I'm very happy as a result.
The short-term pain, taking that.
Remind me at 10 o'clock this morning when we have to go to the gym.
702.
Weather.
It's 20 after 6 and this EWN weather is brought to you by Samsung. Summer heat wave. Choose your perfect temperature with Samsung air conditioners. Gauteng fine today, partly becoming cloudy later. Becoming partly cloudy later, not partly becoming cloudy. With isolated afternoon thunder showers expected. Temperatures much warmer than we've seen in the week, peaking at 32 degrees in Joburg and Pretoria. 30 is your high in Vereeniging. Bombela and Bloemfontein 31. East London and Gqeberha 22. Cape Town maxing at 28.
Tis the season we've been waiting for. It's summer and the heat is on. It's time to make memories. The days are longer and the nights are warm. Skies are clear and the vibes are perfect. Make your home the coolest place to be this summer with Samsung air conditioners. Experience ultimate refreshment with your friends and family. Make every day a cooler, smarter summer. Shop at Samsung stores, online, or speak to your authorized installer.
EWN Traffic.
21 minutes after 6 o'clock. Let's have a first look at those roads, Amo.
Well, Bongani, we've got roadworks taking place on the R24 West. This is causing delays between the OR Tambo interchange and Barber Road, so please be on the lookout traveling along this route. There's also queuing traffic already on the N1 North between the N12 exit and the Deep Kloof interchange. There's roadworks that are taking place along the Golden Highway, and that's the reason for this pile-up along the N1 North. So please be on the lookout there and drive with care. And if you see anything else on the roads, we are on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Part of the 702 family.
Hi, my name is Mbalenhle Felicity Ngubane, and I'm from Johannesburg. I'm staying in Malaysia currently. 702 helped me through my depression, my divorce, COVID. So I'm very, very happy that 702 helped me through all of those years. And I'm still going to continue listening to you guys from the morning to the evening. And yeah, thank you, 702.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
You are not dreaming. You are repeating. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Insurance, pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited. a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Sana, she said that till slip is like the N1 highway. It's long. Thanks, Captain Obvious. I got it. It's why I got the new discount battery rewards card that gets me 10% off instantly on over 140 brands. And then, does he not tell me over 140 brands means thousands of products? Exactly. That's why your discount till slip never looked better. Inshallah, son.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
24 minutes after 6 o'clock, things you need to know at this hour. Do you ever have the sense that there's a whole lot going on around you and you just have no clue? You're not aware. How about these raids in Pretoria? Officials have uncovered a prostitution ring allegedly run with the help of City of Tshwane officials. 8 people were arrested, 4 of them municipal workers and 4 Chinese nationals, along with 30 others swept in that operation. The mayor, Dr. Nasipi Moya, says the syndicate was paying off officials up to 5,000 rand to keep the lights on and that business running. And she's called it a wake-up call in the city's mission to reclaim Tshwane from crime and corruption starting from within. I mean, quite clearly there's going to be issues of human trafficking here and possibly even forced sexual labor. But it's really quite incredible that they were doing this because they knew the officials that were being paid money to look the other way would give them cover. Argentina's fiery president, Javier Milei, will not be attending the G20 summit in Johannesburg this November. He confirmed this, on Monday, I beg your pardon, following the lead of Donald Trump, who's also pulled out. And of course, Argentina received billions of dollars in aid from the Trump administration. You can kind of see why he is agreeing with his fave, Donald Trump. But Argentina will be sending its foreign minister. Government shutdown seems to be nearly over in the U.S., their longest shutdown in history. But thousands of files from the Jeffrey Epstein estate also released this week, the White House brushing them off. Adam Gilchrist will give us the latest in the life and drama of Donald Trump. On Sunday, and I'm going to muck it up, so do forgive me, but on Sunday, Ghana's Asante King, Otumfuwi Osei Tutu II, welcomed home more than 130 royal treasures looted over a century ago. These include gold and bronze, drums, ceremonial weights, regalia, some of them more than 160 years old, and they were returned to the Manyaya Palace Museum in Kumasi. AngloGold Ashanti and private collectors were part of restoration efforts, following similar returns from London and Los Angeles. Now, guess who's having a milestone birthday today? The actress, comedian, and so much more. Whoopi Goldberg turns all of 70. She's one of the rare few who have or are called an EGOT. That means she holds an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award. You'll know her, of course, from Ghost to Sister Act, but also, in recent years, her outspoken views on The View. She's made us laugh, she's made us cry, and perhaps every now and again, she has made us cringe. And I think some people might argue that this is a different perspective on life. Have a listen to what Whoopi feels about marriage.
You talked about husbands. Yeah. You were married 3 times, and you have said that you were not in love with any of them and that you're not meant for marriage.
Yeah.
Well, why are you not meant for marriage? You don't want to share?
No, I don't. I don't care how you feel. It's terrible. You know, when you're married to somebody, you have to be invested in how they're feeling.
Absolutely.
I am not. I'm invested in my kid. I'm invested in her kids. I'm invested in my son-in-law. I'm invested in my friends. But I am not invested in a relationship that would require as much as having a child requires.
That's Whoopi Goldberg's view on relationships and marriage, happily single at 70. I'm asking you, do you hold an unconventional view of relationships or marriage in general, whether it's living arrangements, financial separation in terms of your money is yours, his is hers, his is his, hers is hers, whatever the case may be in your scenario. Maybe you are much more fluid about what people may consider traditional roles in marriage, right? Who does what and who occupies what role in your relationship? I'd love to hear.
702.
The newspapers.
28 after 6. Sfiso Zulu, let's look at the newspapers. We'll start with international news on your side.
Yeah, that's right, Bongani. Good morning. The U.S. President Donald Trump has signed a bill which has ended the longest government shutdown in the country's history. The House of Representatives passed the bill in a 222 to 209 vote. So there were 6 Democrats who joined the Republicans to pass this bill. And it's been 43 days since the shutdown started after lawmakers failed to pass new funding bills, including extending health care subsidies. And the ripple effect was that many employees or government employees were affected, and some were without pay and some were laid off. Now they've agreed that they'll keep the lights on until January next year. And some of the decisions that were taken during the shutdown will most likely be reversed.
I'm looking at the Sowetan, so much to look at there, but the story of the return of a fired sex pest teacher at Boksburg High School. One of the comments he allegedly made to a grade 10 learner was that she was so fit, he thought she'd make a fantastic makoti for his family. He faced a dismissal hearing which found him guilty. There were 8 witnesses at this disciplinary hearing, including 4 pupils and 1 educator. Part of what was being investigated was an assault charge against a fellow educator, but the investigation said they found that he'd made inappropriate remarks to learners. He was then dismissed, as you might expect. He then appealed. He appealed, and the department said, "Oh, that's fine. You can go back to your job." Because one of the reasons put forward was that the department apparently said, well, he didn't actually assault the learner. He just harassed her. He just said a few things that were inappropriate. So he can go back to work. At the appeal, it's understood none of the complainants were even informed. And so yesterday there was this protest outside the school because the victims say they were not notified about the appeals process, and they're all incredibly disturbed that this is the outcome. We understand now the MEC for Education in Gauteng says he is going to personally review the appeal verdict to make sure it goes the right way. So that matter is still to be concluded, but I cannot imagine what that means for those learners in that school. The front page of The Citizen, City losing billing war. We know all of that. And the Business Day focusing on the ratings upgrade.
EWN Business.
So, of course, told us about that a few days ago. S&P thinking of an upgrade for our country. And you're asking a different question, though, this morning. What have we had to endure for a short space of time to get long-term benefits? Mateo, what prompts that question?
Well, Bongani, South Africa's Finance Department has introduced a lower inflation target of 3%. Treasury and the South African Reserve Bank say the lower inflation target will make the country more competitive with trade partners, but also reduce borrowing rates in the country over the long term. Now, Treasury says the SARB will have a tolerance band of 1 percentage points on either side of the 3% over the next 2 years in a bid to ease the high cost of living in the country. Now, this move sees South Africa at between 2 and 4%, moving us from the 3 to 6% target range. So the next time we talk about the central bank delivering interest rates announcements, it's between 2 and 4% now. In the short term, there will be some pain, though. The lower inflation target will mean a slower GDP growth in the next few years and a slower decline of debt to GDP. This is seen in Treasury's current growth forecast that was announced yesterday, with GDP said to be at around 1.8% between 2026 and 2028. So very low and very slow. But the SARB says over the long term, the fiscal move will mean more interest rate cuts for South African households, lowering borrowing costs and the boosting of spending and investment in the country. Now, this is set to boost economic growth over time and improve GDP. The central bank says using its own models, it shows that in the next 2 years, it should be able to cut interest rates by 25 basis points at least 5 times. That would leave the prime lending rate at 9.25% by 2027. But there has been criticism over this particular move to 3%, with some analysts saying it's a very blunt tool to try and manage inflation. The argument is that the government-administered inflation, things like electricity prices, rates for water, are already at double-digit levels, and the 3% doesn't really answer that question of how you're going to manage those higher prices for things like electricity, transport, and water, because those are the real drivers of inflation.
T's and C's apply. Where's the rand?
Rand at this hour, 17.07 against the US dollar, in a strong position at 19 Rand 78 against the euro, and 22 Rand 40 cents against the British pound. Price of gold up 0.5% at $4,216 an ounce, while platinum is at $1,632. Brent crude at $62.69 a barrel. More business after 7.
Straight to the news desk we go. Sfisa Zulu, what you got?
Thanks, Wani. Good morning. Some economists have welcomed National Treasury's endorsement of a new inflation target in a widely anticipated move. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana finally confirmed the revision of the framework, which was introduced in the year 2000 during the medium-term budget policy statement in Parliament yesterday. The inflation targeting is a framework in which the central bank uses monetary policy tools to keep inflation in line with a given target. Now, Dambo has more.
The target band has been adjusted to 2 to 4% from 3 to 6%, with the midpoint of the range now moving to 3%. While it strengthens policy credibility and aligns with the goal of lower inflation expectations, Northwest University Business School economist Raymond Parsons says it also entails short-term fiscal and growth trade-offs. Economists at Nedbank say one of the key benefits of the lower inflation target will be lower interest rates. The lower interest rates will help reduce debt service costs, freeing up more fiscal resources for the social wage and infrastructure investment. Treasury's own projections reflect a repo rate trajectory that falls to 6.75% by the end of 2026 and 6.25% by the end of 2027. Nogukanya Mdambo, Eyewitness News.
In a step towards improving treatment access and easing pressure on public health facilities, the Health Department will launch a 6 multi-month dispensing system for HIV treatments. This initiative will allow eligible and stable HIV patients to collect a 6-month supply of the life-saving treatment during a single clinic visit. Since 2023, some patients have been receiving a 3-month supply under an existing program. The department's Foster Mohale says the expansion to 6 months marks another milestone in an effort to strengthen HIV treatment adherence.
The World Health Organization promotes multi-month dispensing of antiretroviral therapy for clinically stable patients. The implementation of 6 multi-month dispensing will not only reduce patients' visits but also decrease waiting times and lessen the burden on clinics, but also, most importantly, contribute effectively towards the Close the Gap campaign.
And Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero says the city needs to find new strategies to deal with growing homelessness in the CBD. In preparation for the upcoming G20 summit, Morero has been intensifying his inner city revitalization program, and that includes evicting illegal informal traders, addressing unauthorized taxi ranks, and managing homelessness.
We're making a commitment to be dealing with homelessness so that it's properly organized in the city, appreciating and accepting that indeed we've got homeless people, but we must find a better way of how we manage homelessness in the city of Johannesburg.
Gauteng is fine, becoming partly cloudy later. The temperatures are at lows of 15 and 17 degrees, peaking at highs between 30 and 32.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 South. This is between Oliphantfontein Road and New Road. That's due to peak time delays there while travelling. On the R24 West, we've got roadworks taking place right near Barber Road. Delays from the OR Tambo Airport.
The top story this hour, some economists have welcomed National Treasury's endorsement of a new inflation target.
Smart Steve from Momentum, hello.
How's it, But? It's Jason here, your favourite gymfluencer.
Jason, still lifting more than your selfie stick?
Always, But. Gotta stay shredded, eh? But, I'm worried about one thing. What if a major illness hits? Who's got my back?
Relax, Jason. Momentum's critical illness cover is your spotter. It offers the most comprehensive cover in the market.
Buddy, I'm signing up faster than I could do 10 reps. But I'm worried about something else, eh?
Let me guess. How many protein shakes it takes before you turn into the incredible bulk?
No, man. Will anyone notice if I skip a leg day?
Chat to your financial advisor about Momentum's critical illness cover. Momentum, protecting your journey to success. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
I'm Samela Kilboy, an actress and mom to 3 lovely kids. I worry about how sugar can make them sick. Drinking sugary drinks could lead to diabetes, heart disease, and obesity as they get older. Diabetes is one of the top causes of death in South Africa. I'm joining the fight to demand government puts our health ahead of greedy industry profits. Government must act now. Increase the health promotion levy on sugary drinks. Sign the petition on healer.org. That's HEALA.org.
Standard Bank and 702 have joined forces to bring you China Unlocked.
Africa generally provides a massive opportunity for all tourists. People, Europe is largely saturated in tourism. I see in the Middle East significant numbers of tourists increasingly coming to this part of the world. Think Saudi Arabia, I think the UAE, Dubai in particular, Abu Dhabi, and increasingly. And it's all about creating connectivity, safety, and a good value proposition for tourists. We have a relatively cheap destination, generally speaking. It's, of course, there's a long-haul destination, but people want those unique experiences. We have to package it, market it, and sell it effectively.
Don't miss China Unlocked on 702 Drive with John Perlman. Tuesdays on 702. Brought to you by Standard Bank Business and Commercial, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Mateo, what a good question. I've got 2 things that I deeply regret. The one, I have these memories of SABC watching the news in the mornings, but there was always a 5-minute cartoon just before the news, and then immediately they'd talk about the gold price. And I remember the gold price being about $285 per ounce. And where's it now? 4,000 and something. And I said to my dad, we should buy gold. And he said it's a stupid investment, or something to that effect. That's the one. The other one is that when we were in matric, that was 2003, one of my best friends asked his parents, all he wanted for matric for his birthday was a share in Google. And they bought him 3 shares in Google in 2003. And now he's my age and he's completely retired. He's got enough money for the rest of his life. There's no stress at all. So, regrets on investments maybe would be my thought. Anyway, thanks for a great show. Have a good day, guys.
Gosh, do you remember the owl and the newspaper? I think that's what was it a cartoon? It was more like a puppet thing, right? Do you remember that, Cindy, in the mornings on TV? If you watched Good Morning South Africa.
It was It
was the owl and the frog, I think.
And the owl would read the newspaper.
Yes, or something like that. I think that's what he's referring to. Now, that tells you how old we are. Gosh, just 3 shares of Google. Just 3 shares. Sorted him out for the rest of his life years later. Keep them coming.
EWN Sport.
18 to 7. Cindy Paluta, let's talk drama.
Yes.
AFCON qualifiers.
FIFA World Cup qualifiers.
FIFA World Cup, not AFCON.
No,
Right.
I mean, AFCON is around the corner, right? So it's top of mind. You're right.
Yeah.
But I think the African side should be worried about the amount of
Football.
upheaval, like just unnecessary behind the scenes
Okay,
stuff
what's
that is
going on?
happening, right? So basically, FIFA has allowed FIFA to get more teams from different continents into the
Yeah.
World Cup next year.
Mhm.
Have got a qualifying system tonight where Nigeria's playing Gabon and then the DR Congo plays Cameroon.
Right.
The winners of those two games, they're all playing in Morocco. The winner of those two games go through to a final on Sunday.
Okay.
And then the winner of that final on Sunday
Is the
goes
team that-
through.
Okay,
Wait,
all right,
don't
all
I
right,
guess? The winner of that final on Sunday goes through to an intercontinental tournament in March where 6 teams, so one from Africa, Asia, and the different continents, USA, etc., will then play. And the one team from there, one or maybe 2, I must double check that, but goes through to the FIFA World Cup. So we've
this
already got our teams that have qualified. I mean, the fun is there, etc., etc. But this is like a real backdoor.
Okay.
So wouldn't it be incredible then if one of the teams from this whole thing went on to
Backdoor.
win it? One of the 6 teams from the Intercontinental, given the last
Yeah.
chance. So the full Nigeria squad, though, boycotted training this week. So they're playing Gabon tonight. Officials, everybody refused to train this week because of salaries, unpaid bonuses, etc., etc. And then Cameroon themselves, they're also playing tonight. They had chaos at federation level between their FA and the head coach over team selection. So kickoff tonight
So
is...
things we've heard before.
You know, where have we heard this story?
Okay.
English Premier League side Wolves appointed Rob Edwards as manager. Wolves, who finished 10th last season, are currently bottom with no wins from 11 games. Springbok side to play Italy will be named later. Winger Edwil van der Merwe hoping to see his name on the team sheet.
Well, my life motto is it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I firmly believe what's meant for me won't miss me. So the biggest thing for me is to stay prepared, to stay ready whenever the call comes. And whenever the opportunity comes to play, just to carry it with both hands.
Kickoff on Saturday is 2:40 p.m. Back home, the Bulls extended Springboks Jan-Hendrik Wessels and Cameron Honeycomb's contract until the end of the 2028 season. Proteas play India tomorrow in the first of 2 tests. Coach Shukri Conrad is under no illusion as to how big this match is.
Look, India, tough challenge anywhere in the world. And when you come to an iconic venue like Eden Gardens, and it just makes it even tougher. I don't think you can compare the quality of the sides we played against to India. Certainly in my 20th match, I don't think there's been a bigger challenge. Yes, we had the final against Australia that we won, which was massive. I compare this series and this match to that final. That's how big it is for us.
This morning, New Zealand beat the West Indies by 8 wickets in the 5th T20 to win the series 3-1. First Ashes Test starts next week Friday. Australia will have bowler Josh Hazlewood, but Sean Abbott has been ruled out. And in tennis at the ATP final, Sinner beats Zverev 6-4, 6-3 to go to the semi-finals. Ben Shelton is out after he was beaten by Aguila Sim, who won the match 4-6, 7-6 and 7-5. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Hi, Uncle Bongani. My name is and I'm 11 years old. I go to fundamental faculty in 3 Rivers, and when I grow up, I'd love to be a pediatrician.
Doctor, will you win 10,000 Rand?
EWN Traffic.
Let's catch up with the roads now. 14 to 7. Amo, how are we looking?
Oh, Bongani, it's so busy on the roads. We've got roadworks that are taking place in Isando along the R24 West, and they are causing delays coming out of the OR Tambo interchange towards Isando Road. While traveling on the N3 North, we've got delays between Marfontein Road and Vincent Chabalala Road. There's also queuing traffic along the same route if you continue making your way towards areas like Woodmead. We've got roadworks taking place on the N3 North, delays between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu interchange. I'll have more updates. Do stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
Coming up the next hour, what's the question? It's brought to you by Outsurance. 3,000 Rand is up for grabs. So you send us an answer based on something you heard on the show. We'll give you 1,000 Rand for that. Simply WhatsApp us that answer and your name to 072 702 1702. Then later, someone will frame a question that will get us to your answer. And for that, they will win 2,000 Rand. Now, remember, you always stand a better chance of being selected if you've SMS'd out to Outsurance and got yourself a quote. So do it now. SMS out to 45142. And you could save on your car insurance.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 Rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS LEGAL to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crush prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints. Affordable, lasting luxury.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Time now to play the Whiz Quiz, giving away some cash. Today we're playing with Tulu, who is 11 years old and wants to be a PED a little later on in life. Tulu, a very good morning to you. Are you ready to play the Whiz Quiz?
Yes, Uncle Bongani.
Yes, you are, aren't you? All right, take a deep breath and let's start the clock. In the movie Sing, what animal is Rosita?
An elephant.
A pig. In maths, what is 50% of 200?
50.
It's 100. What's the smallest planet in our solar system?
Pass.
Mercury. Which country does not have a river? Saudi Arabia or Canada?
Canada.
Saudi Arabia. True or false? The king protea is South Africa's national flower.
True.
Correct. In which country is the southernmost point in Africa?
South Africa.
Correct. Complete the saying, it's a game of cat and what?
Dogs.
Mouse. What does AI stand for? Artificial intelligence was the answer we were looking for there. Sulu, I'm afraid it was a really, really rough one there for you. And you've always got to remember, if you don't know the answer, you can tell us to pass and make up time. Maybe there is a question you might be able to answer. 200 Rand is what you walk away with. Not a very good score. But you're only 11. You're only 11, so, you know, you can still try. Maybe next year, try back again and see if you can do better. We've had winners who've had rough rounds, gone back, read a little bit more, and come back to win the 10,000 Rand. Who knows? It'd be you.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
9 minutes to 7, on to this now. I was saying a little earlier on, the news cycle unfolds at such breakneck speed that there's so many commissions and investigative processes underway that you blink and you've missed it. And so what we try to do is every now and again, we choose one and we say, right, let's catch up with that one. What's going on in that matter? We did it on Monday with the Road Accident Fund. And today we are revisiting another issue. And justice for all, right? Amandla. Well, that was the clarion call of the struggle for liberation for South Africa. And many who took up its call gave the ultimate sacrifice. They paid with their lives for freedom, killed by the apartheid regime. And after the democracy period, we know that the Truth and Reconciliation Commission tried to unearth what had happened. It even recommended the prosecution of those who committed atrocities. But here we are, decades later, precious few have been jailed, and yet now another commission to investigate why those prosecutions didn't take place, and it has begun with a bit of a false start. And so questions have been raised, I think, about the evidence leader. Somebody who's been very busy this week is our Khumutso Modise from EWN. You've been hosting the John Perlman Show to much aplomb, I must say. Well done. Good morning. Good to see you so early. All right, so bring us up to speed then. We recently spoke to Lukhanyo Talada to kind of set the scene. He's been on a long crusade to get justice for his father, but he's not the only one. There are 20 families seeking justice, and I imagine with yet another delay, they might feel it's been denied.
Absolutely, Bongani. There's about 25 families that are part of the lawsuit, which is before the Pretoria High Court. But there were about 3,000 cases that were referred from the TRC in around, was it 2003, when Desmond Tutu, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, handed over the final report to President Thabo Mbeki. And all those families want an opportunity to appear before this Commission of Inquiry to tell their story about how it's been waiting for about 27 years for justice. I mean, we've got families, who were promised that there would be prosecution. They were told that the perpetrators have been identified, amnesty has been denied, and there would finally be justice. And all of those families, some of them at least, were attending the Truth and Reconciliation Commission inquiry this week in Newtown in Johannesburg with the hope that the process would start. And of course it didn't.
What's the issue around Advocate Ishmael Semenya? And of course, it would have been known, I would imagine, long before that he'd been selected as the chief evidence leader. Why the objection so late in the day?
So, that's the question that we asked both to the Commission, but also to the families that have been part of this process. Advocate Ishmael Semenya had consulted and had been part of the legal team that was working with the NPA on the NPA policy of 2005, which is a policy that's really centered around TRC cases. It's a policy that was challenged by the families, led by Minister Thembi Simelane. She challenged it in the High Court, and the High Court ruled in the family's favor. Now, the concern that's been raised by the families is that he cannot be the man who acts as the chief evidence leader in this Commission of Inquiry when he played such an active role in the compiling and the formulating of this policy. But also, he'd also advised, the NPA in TRC-related matters, particularly a case that was brought by Minister Simelane to the High Court. This is a case that she'd brought against former President Thabo Mbeki and former Justice Minister Bridget Mabandla. And so the families then approached the Commission to say, surely he's convicted, he cannot be the chief evidence leader. The NPA then only came forward this week. This is the NPA and the Justice Department concurring with the families and saying they cannot proceed with Caiaphas Semenya as Ishmael Semenya rather as the chief evidence leader.
Yes, no, that's a very different Semenya altogether. I want to play you a clip from our interview just recently, I think it was the 23rd of October, with Lukhanyo Talada, who essentially says the victims of the apartheid state were betrayed in the new democracy.
Why do you think they weren't prosecuted? Because the ANC had made a deal with these former apartheid generals and former National Party leaders that there won't be any prosecutions for the TRC-related murders, because that would then protect the ANC guys from being prosecuted for some of the crimes that they had committed. So there was an actual deal in place.
So your father and his comrades were the sacrificial lambs?
Basically, the ANC used my father, their sacrifice, and sold them out. That's what they did, because by saying they were the sacrificial lambs, we kind of we glossed over it, we glazed it a little bit, when the reality was that the ANC sold out their sacrifice and they protected themselves at the expense of the people that actually paid the ultimate price.
The point, of course, of that is that there were atrocities committed on all sides in that struggle. Khumutso, are we likely to see prominent figures being asked to come and explain?
Yes, Bongani. Just to comment on that clip by Lukhanyo Galata, this is a view and a sentiment that's been expressed by many of the families. I went down to the Eastern Cape to speak to the victims of the Highgate massacre, and this happened just on the cusp of democracy in 1993. This is a group that had been attacked. They were there, out for a beer on a Tuesday night, and people just came in and started shooting. And they believe too that the ANC government sold them out. They believe that there was a deal that was made in order to protect these apartheid police. So it's a view that's been held by many people, and it's a view that's going to be explored quite a bit at the Commission of Inquiry.
Look, it extends beyond the apartheid machinery in the official sense. The third force is a factor in the 90s. There are people who were forced out of their homes just a few kilometers away from where we are in Alexandra who've never been able to return.
Yes.
There are people in Boipatong who still feel that they need a sense of justice. But perhaps there has been one case that we have seen concluded. Johan Marais, who confessed his role in that Caiphus Nyoka murder in 1987. He's been sentenced. That's significant.
Absolutely. So he was one of 4 men who had been prosecuted for the 1987 murder of Caiphus Nyoka. Nyoka was a student leader, a COSAS student leader in Davidton on the East Rand. And he was murdered. He was found with 2 of his friends in his room at around 2 a.m. And the friends were taken out of the room, and the police officers that were there opened fire, and they killed him on the spot. Now, I say this as a matter of fact because the officers don't deny opening fire. They don't deny shooting him, but they haven't presented an official defense as to why they did what they did. Now, Johan Marais is one of the officers who had confessed, came forward and said that he was part of this, and he was then sentenced to 15 years a few months ago. But the 3 other police officers, including a major, someone who acted as a major in the 1980s, are still pleading not guilty to the charges of murder, and their matter is currently in the Benoni Magistrates Court. It's a High Court sitting in the Benoni Magistrates Court. We're hoping for judgment next month, Bongani, and we know that the High Court is saying they're taking this matter very, very seriously. But just to go back a step, yes, this matter and many others, we're going to hear testimony on that from the likes of former President Thabo Mbeki, who's going to have to account about this case and others as to whether he gave the directive that these cases should not be investigated, whether he told prosecutors to kind of push these dockets to the side, which is an allegation that's been made, that the government at the time was actively stopping the prosecution of these cases. And I think maybe if we have a bit of time, Bongani, we can listen to a clip by Thembi Simelane, who speaks very strongly about it.
So what we'll do, we can play that a little after the news, but very quickly, when do we expect this commission to resume?
It resumes on the 26th of November, but the work of the commission doesn't resume then, unfortunately. What we're going to be hearing is arguments as to whether, Advocate Semenya can continue as the chief evidence leader.
So that matter's still not resolved entirely?
Yes.
Goodness me. All right, we'll play this clip and give some context after the news. And, of course, a piece of new legislation that could change how South African government functions. That is to come after this Eyewitness News, brought to you by Khalix. Khalix, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is EWN.
The president puts to bed almost a week of speculation about a mini reshuffle, and the finance minister raises the alarm about more government ghost worker crisis. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. DA leader John Steenhuisen has dismissed suggestions that he asked President Cyril Ramaphosa to fire Deon George as Minister of Forestries, Fisheries and the Environment due to alleged underperformance or external pressures. George, who's been in Brazil for this week attending the world's biggest climate summit, COP30, officially received the chop last night and has been replaced by the party spokesperson Willie Okamp. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Just more than 15 months into the Government of National Unity, the DA is making the first changes to its executive lineup of 6 ministers and 6 deputy ministers. Leader John Steenhuisen says there was no malicious intent behind Deon George's removal.
Like any organisation and any government in the world, you assess how things are going and you obviously try and move people around to make sure you're getting the maximum benefit of that.
Steenhuisen says following the axing of former Deputy Trade Minister Andrew Whitfield by President Cyril Ramaphosa in June, he thought George would be a perfect fit.
Given the importance of the trade relationship that you're speaking to, his obvious ties with the US, his expertise in economics and finance, he was the DA's finance spokesperson, and I really thought he would do a wonderful job.
With George having turned down the job, Steenhuisen put forward the party's Alexandra Abrams instead, who has now been endorsed by the president. Steenhuisen says the new appointments will strengthen the DA's contribution to the GNU. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
National Treasury says it's already started the process of eliminating almost 9,000 ghost workers from the government's payroll. National Treasury, in the medium-term budget policy statement tabled by Minister Enoch Godongwana yesterday, says the department was able to flag more than 8,800 cases where people were receiving payments from multiple departments. The removal of ghost workers is also part of Treasury's efforts to boost efficiency and reduce government waste through its savings initiative. Babalondenza reports.
National Treasury says its ghost worker removal program has found how people are drawing salaries despite being inactive employees or had bank account anomalies. It says the ghost worker identification process will also identify individuals appearing on multiple government systems. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana also stated that their savings initiative will also root out social grant fraud and double dipping. But Director General Duncan Peterson says the ghost worker numbers still need further verification.
The ghost workers as well, around 9,000. So what we've done there is that we've worked closely with the Revenue Service colleagues in terms of the tax data, the confidential and anonymized tax data, using the personnel data that we as the Treasury have.
Peterson says they will only be able to tell how much money has been lost to ghost employees once the verification process is complete. Babalo Ndanza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
600,000 rand increases were allegedly granted to two City of Ekurhuleni officials as a reward for ensuring suspended acting EMPD head Julius Mkhwanazi was not subjected to disciplinary action. The startling allegations were made by former head of employee relations at Ekurhuleni, Xolani Ngciza, who has been testifying before the Madlanga Commission. Yesterday, Ngciza revealed how Mkhwanazi was protected by former Ekurhuleni city manager Imogen Mashazi after an investigation was launched into a deal that was struck between EMPD and tender tycoon Vusmuzi Kat Matlala in 2021. Oren Singh reports.
Ekurhuleni former head of employee relations, Xolani Ngciza, made serious allegations of nepotism concerning the ex-city manager Imogen Mashazi. Ngciza claims advocate Kemi Bihari, the city's head of legal, and Linda Qasheka, Ekurhuleni Human Resources HOD, received massive increases after refusing to take disciplinary action against tainted EMPD senior officer Julius Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi struck a deal between EMPD and two of Vusumuzi Kat Matlala's companies in 2021, ultimately allowing Matlala's private security vehicles to be registered as municipal vehicles for his personal use. Ngciza says disciplinary charges against Mkhwanazi were halted in June 2023.
2 weeks down the line, a report gets served that seeks to give Advocate Kemi Behari and Linda Qasheka a 600,000 rand increase.
He alleges Mashazi rewarded the pair for protecting Mkhwanazi. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
And G7 foreign ministers have called for an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine and raised the alarm about the escalating crisis in Sudan. This was contained in a statement issued at the end of their meeting in Canada. The top diplomats from Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan and the United States voiced unwavering support for Ukraine's territory integrity as Russia pushes to take more of it. The joint G7 statement also condemned surging violence in Sudan, saying the conflict between the African nation's army and the paramilitary rapid support forces had triggered the world's largest humanitarian crisis since April 2023. The war between Sudan's army and the RSF has killed tens of thousands of people and displaced nearly 12 million. Gold is trading at $4,206.63 an ounce. The rand is at 17.08 to the dollar, 22.41 to the pound, 19.79 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $62 $62.64 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 South between Modderfontein Road and Linksfield Road due to a car stuck on the road, while travelling on the M1 North, bumper-to-bumper traffic between Boysons Road and the Empire Road exit. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 North between the Soweto Highway and Albertina Sisulu Road.
In your sport, a full night of FIFA World Cup qualifiers on the cards. Will it be the end of the road for Nigeria, Gabon, DR Congo or Cameroon? Springbok side to play Italy will be announced at 2 this afternoon. And at the ATP Masters, Yannick Sinner through to the semi-finals as Ben Shelton is knocked out.
Gauteng is fine, becoming partly cloudy later with isolated afternoon thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 30 and 32 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. DA leader John Steenhuisen has dismissed suggestions that he asked President Cyril Ramaphosa to fire Dion George as Minister of Forestries, Fisheries and the Environment due to alleged underperformance or external pressures.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
With a passion for business and community, Khaliks is constantly looking for opportunities to help others. To date, Khaliks' Suit Trade-In campaign has helped provide suits to 2,000 job applicants and 100 retail interns. And you can get involved too by bringing in your old suit and trading it in for a brand new one at 30% off. Khaliks will then clean, mend and distribute to those who need a start in business. Khaliks, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
8 minutes after 7 o'clock, justice delayed is justice denied. And there's so many twists and turns to those TRC prosecution cases. One of them, of course, as you heard from our Khumutso Modise. And as I said a little earlier on, if you want to have a quick sense of what's happening in the news cycle, you can just follow her on social media. She's fantastic on Instagram and TikTok. She'll give you the news in bite-sized chunks. And of course, you can catch her as always in EWN bulletins. But let's remind you of this case. And here's what I mean by twists and turns. Thembi Simelane is now the Minister of Human Settlements, right? She was most recently Minister of Justice until her tentacles to VBS caught up with her. And so there was that quick little reshuffle and we all moved on and forgot about it. But nonetheless, prior to all of that, she was the mayor of Polokwane in Limpopo. And it was at that stage that she got ensnared by VBS. But before then, she was part of the families that were fighting for justice because her own sister, Nokuthula, was killed by the apartheid state in 1983. Special branch police, it's understood, the family have never even been able to get the remains of her sister. And so she took that decision to be, along with the other families, to take the then government of Thabo Mbeki to court in 2007.
Disappointment is written all over our faces. We want these matters to be done with. We are representing elders. My mom is 85 years old. And I left in the morning at home today saying the inquiry is starting, appearing on Wednesday as requested by the inquiry to come and share the experience in the investigations that led to the case of Nokuthula Simelane. But here we are. We are adjourned until further notice. We will wait patiently. We hope to arrive at the truth at a particular time. But if the pace can be picked up, it's very much appreciated. What angers me more is that the state did not discover the registration of Siminya this morning. They knew. So they could have approached the chair, they could have approached the commission, they could have filed their papers if they are not in agreement with Advocate Siminya than us coming in this shabby manner. To come and withdraw or put into a hold the hearings. And I think the state, when it set the inquiry, it should have read it itself. I mean, I become livid actually when I get to think about it. But it's okay. We'll work with what we have.
We'll work with what we have. Well, all these years later, they are still waiting for answers. It really is quite unbelievable.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Today's Sowetan has a really good summary of what occurred yesterday at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, where we heard from the former Ekurhuleni employee relations head, Xolani Ngciza, speaking to the commission and just giving a sense of the rot that had set deep within the city of Ekurhuleni, including, of course, that letters, the signed letters that suspended the Metro Police Chief Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi gave essentially drivers of a fleet of cars, employees of Vusumuzi Cat Matlala, free rein to move about the city. They had these letters that if they were stopped at roadblocks, nobody could search their cars. And this was understood to be a permanent situation. There was no date of commencement. There was no date of expiry. It was just understood, if you get these guys at a roadblock, you just let them pass. You don't search them. You don't ask any questions. They've got letters that were essentially almost the freedom of the city. And so you can imagine the kinds of goods they might have been able to move around because law enforcement deliberately said they would not look into it. Xolani Ngciza also testified, of course, about the suspension of Julius Mkhwanazi and how that was obstructed by the city manager, who was quite a feared person. There were so many stories coming out of Ekurhuleni in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry yesterday that you just kind of wonder if the left hand knew what the right was doing and who was really in charge. Perhaps one little soundbite for you. In this one, Ngciza testifies that the head of human resources followed an unlawful instruction from the city manager out of fear. The culture was such that these people didn't want to rock the boat.
Now, what I'm going to say to you might be a bit of a shocker, but it was the norm. It was our experience. Xolani, this lady has shouted at me. I don't want to be further shouted at. Do the letter. I'm saying it was a norm because every instance where something has to happen in the municipality and HR must do something, if you have an issue, you will be told that I don't want to be shouted at by Mashas.
So they would just comply and do whatever it is that she wanted done because they were all scared to be shouted at. That's the kind of thing that was happening in Ekurhuleni. We told you that today is the birthday of one Whoopi Goldberg, who's turning 70 today. It's also the birthday of the Scottish actor Gerard Butler, who turns 56 years old today. He was born in Paisley in 1969, ditched law school for the big screen, and he has never looked back. You'll know him, of course, from Mrs. Brown, Tomorrow Never Dies, and 300. His career and the characters he plays are all about grit, charm, and being larger than life.
EWN Traffic.
It's 7:15. This EWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. There are road works on a number of routes this morning.
Yes, Bongani, if you're traveling on the R21 North, right near Olifantsfontein Road, already causing some issues there, as well as out of the OR Tambo Airport this morning, about a 15-minute hold-up towards Isando Road. This is due to those roadworks after the OR Tambo Airport on the R24 West, and more roadworks are taking place in Kelvin on the N3 North, and they are causing delays between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu interchange. So please be on the lookout there and drive with care. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance Pointsman can't help with your job interview, but they can ease traffic congestion so you get there on time to be calm, cool, and collected. With Outsurance Pointsman on the road for over 20 years, we can all get where we need to be quickly and safely. So Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702. Up next.
The big interview.
You want a new car, but prices keep climbing. The timing doesn't feel right. The deals are never good enough. Until now. The Motor Select Demo Deal Dash is back this Friday and Saturday only. Get up to 100,000 Rand trade-in assist on over 1,800 demo models across 26 leading brands. all backed by SA's largest and leading dealer network. It's just 2 days. Visit motorselect.co.za to shop our demo range now.
No two people are identical, and nobody's finances are the same. That's why you need a banking partner that adapts to your complex circumstances. If you earn 800,000 Rand per annum or more, you may qualify for Investec Private Banking, where you'll enjoy effortless digital capabilities backed by real people who understand you. We'll even switch your account for you. Now that's private banking.
Investec is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Investec, out of the ordinary.
702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
17 minutes after 7 o'clock. They don't look over their shoulders. Justice is not coming. Increasingly, those committing crimes, especially using state resources, have become bold and brazen, and they know, even if they're caught, they'll have political cover. There's weak enforcement, and a denuded prosecutorial authority means they'll get away with it. I mean, the NPA is often laughed out of court, if the cases get there at all. Busasa, PPE corruption, Life Esidimeni, Tembisa Hospital, Hammanskraal, Phala Phala, Digital Vibes. I can go on. Will we ever have accountable governance? Yes, says our next guest. It's so close, we can smell it. A new piece of legislation already passed by both houses of parliament is awaiting the president's signature. When it becomes law, things could really change. We're joined now by the co-founder and director of the New South Institute, Dr. Ivor Chipkin. A very good morning to you, and thank you for your time on 702 Breakfast.
Good morning, Bongani.
We've had so much bad news, we need something good. So, could you explain then in simple terms what this Public Service Amendment Bill seeks to do?
Yes, sure. I think yesterday was a historic moment, and I think a day which I think one day we will look back to realize it was a historic turning point. At least it has the potential to be a historic turning point. I think yesterday was full of good news, and yesterday I think and the public service, the passing of the bill, I think, was the most important. My sense is that it's one of the most important things that's happened to South Africa since 1996, since the passing of the Constitution. Essentially, what it does is it establishes in law for the first time the difference between political office and administrative office, and it will prevent, in law anyway, our politicians from having administrative powers. Because currently, what we have is a situation where our politicians, the president, cabinet ministers at a national level and MECs at a provincial level, have powers over administrative decisions, the appointment of public servants, but even discretion over day-to-day decisions about how the department or how the department or the office should be run. These are administrative areas. So what the amendment does is it takes away those powers from politicians, essentially to meddle in the administrative functions of government departments. And I think that's an extraordinary development.
All right. Let's just simplify it. I mean, one of the things we've heard repeatedly, and I think now of the ad hoc committee looking into alleged criminality in law enforcement, is that, the minister as the executive authority could do this, could say that, could give this or that instruction. How does that go away?
Well, I mean, it's a marvelous case. Look at the situation of Minister Mchunu, who intervened as the minister to decide on the dissolution of one of the police units.
Yeah.
So the minister, as a minister carrying a political mandate, exercised a function in the administrative organization of the department. I mean, I think it's scandalous, but it's perfectly permissible, because in terms of the law, not in terms of the practices of the African National Congress, in terms of the law, the Public Service Act as it currently stands, allows the ministers to do that. So what we've done since 1994 is that we've given our politicians very, very wide discretion to meddle in operational or administrative decisions in our departments. If I can use a metaphor, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Think of government a little bit like you might a car. So the politicians are the drivers of the car.
Yeah.
They are the ones that set the direction, that determine the speed, that determine who can sit in the front, who sits in the back, The style of driving, fast and reckless, or slowly and carefully.
Right.
The public administration is the engine. And usually drivers of the car are not people that are involved in building the engine or maintaining the engine. What you need is a group of specialized mechanics and specialized technicians to build engines and to maintain engines. What we've got in South Africa currently, which the bill will change, is we've got politicians both driving the car, but also incredibly being involved in the building and the fixing and the maintenance of the engine itself. It's an extraordinary situation. And it's extraordinary not just for South Africa, but by international standards, it's very, very unusual.
The metaphor really, really explains it from your point of view, but my difficulty perhaps is that even with the Mkhunu matter and the disbandment of that task team, there's been debate. Not everyone agrees that he had the mandate to do so, although some believe he did. So does this bill then provide sufficient clarity? And even if it does, how do we make sure that, as they've done before, politicians don't use people from within their networks to place them in those positions to do their bidding anyway?
So the bill is only the beginning of a process. It really is. It's a historic beginning of a process. And my sense is that what I've said is that it launches a new transition in South Africa. We had 1994 was our democratic moment. We became a democracy. 1996 we became a constitutional democracy. And I think 2025 is the year when we start to transition towards a professional public administration. So it's really the beginning of the process. The law, I think, will go some way to clarifying the minister's limits, the limits of the minister's power with regard to the administration, and the powers of the DG and the heads the head of the police and police brigadiers in regard to operational decisions, like, for example, the establishment of units and the limits of units and how they should operate. So what is one element of the bill which I find which is especially attractive is that the passing of the bill is in part its implementation, because what it will do is immediately it will take away certain powers from politicians to have discretion in operational decisions. What it doesn't do at all is determine the appropriate process by which public servants should be trained, should be selected, and should be appointed in positions. So what it does say is that politicians shouldn't do that. Politicians shouldn't be playing that role. But there's a clear element which requires us to think very carefully around how our public servants should be appointed. Fortunately, a lot of work has already been done in that space. It's called the professionalization framework. It's in place. It was accepted by Cabinet in 2022. It's quite an ambitious program for training public servants, for introducing for the first time in our history a minimum entrance exam to the public service, promotions processes, etc. That needs to be urgently implemented now. So what I think is going to happen going forward over the next couple of years is that if this bill passes, it's going to incentivize the implementation of the professionalization framework. And then we're in a different country then. We're in a different ball game altogether.
Just for somebody who may not fully understand all of this, I mean, and I'll come back to the current process is underway. What have you heard, either at the Madlanga Commission or as part of the ad hoc committee investigation in Parliament, that would have been prevented by this bill?
So we've been focusing very much on getting the bill through. I've been following the commission, but not with enough
any
detail to answer your question specifically. But it definitely would stop the minister from being able to have made certain decisions with regard to the unit investigating political assassinations. The minister simply would not have had the discretion to order the dissolution of that unit.
You say that there's no clarity around the appointment of officials, so it may not necessarily then be the death knell for something like cadre deployment.
It's going to interrupt the cadre deployment because cadre deployment is made possible. The ability of ministers to appoint staff that have been suggested to them by a political party, for example, which is essentially what cadre deployment is, is made possible by the fact that the law allows ministers to make appointments in the public service. So if ministers no longer have that power, they can't deploy people suggested to them by the party. Rather, appointments into the public service will now have to go through a different route, a professional route, hopefully, one where people are selected on the basis of merit, on the basis of their experience, on the basis of their skills and knowledge in order to do the job. So it will immediately interrupt cadre deployment. Let's just say the other side of this, though, is that some of the opposition parties are not exactly excited by this bill for the same reason that the ANC was the ANC wanted these provisions in 1994. Some of these parties, which are expecting to come into power in the coming years, and maybe as soon as next year in some of the big cities, which look very, very likely, are worried about having to inherit an administration which was largely appointed and controlled by ANC ministers or ANC politicians, and are worried in the same way that the ANC was worried in 1994 of inheriting public administrations that are going to be either hostile to the implementation of their policies or even not sufficiently capable of implementing their policies. So there has been a temptation while this bill has been in consideration, which we've had to deal with, for opposition parties to say, no, we want to keep the politicization of the public administration so that we can get rid of all these ANC cronies, and then we can bring in our own people. And what we've been fighting very hard to say is that repoliticizing the public administration is only going to reproduce the problem.
We'll be back on the bike again. Appreciate your time. Dr. Ivor Chipkin is a director of the New South Institute.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Amo?
Bongani, there's peak time delays on the N1 North. This is actually a stop and go between the Diepkloof interchange and Albertina Sisulu Road, as well as on the Mike 1 North between Boysons Road and Empire Road. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Now, this is a real Black Friday deal. Get a car insurance quote from Outsurance today, and if they can't beat what you're paying, ask them for 500 Rand cash. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. You could get monthly premium savings or at least 500 Rand cash. You've got nothing to lose. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
EWN Business.
Mateo, let's get straight into business news now. Vodacom to partner with Elon Musk's Starlink. This is a big development.
Yeah, Vodacom Group has announced an agreement with satellite broadband provider Starlink. Through the partnership, the groups aim to deliver high-speed, low-latency broadband internet to millions of businesses across Africa and to expand rural network coverage. Starlink is currently available in 25 markets on the continent, but is not yet available in South Africa. Now, through the deal, Vodacom will be authorized to resell Starlink equipment and services to enterprises and small businesses, customers in Africa. The deal will have to go through regulatory approval, especially here in South Africa. Industry regulator ICASA issuing regulations to make its licensing condition even stricter, requiring a minimum 30% black ownership for companies coming into the country. So if they wish to still operate here in South Africa, they'll have to get around that loophole.
And that seems to be how they will have done it, or at least Starlink. So does that mean Trump will now leave us alone, hey?
Not nearly enough.
All right, let's talk about Harmony Gold. They are posting strong numbers, predictably.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a good year for gold. So for the first quarter, Harmony Gold registered a 53% increase in net cash to 17 billion Rand. This is up from 11 billion Rand in June 2025. Cash and available undrawn facilities rose to 27% at 26 billion Rand over the same period. Now, Harmony has also aggressively invested in offshore diversification in the company. It recently concluded a $1 billion acquisition of Mac Copper. This is a New York listed firm. The company is also due to announce whether it will proceed with Ever Copper, another Australian asset it bought for $170 million.
And how's the Ever Rand?
Everrand doing ever so good at 17.07 against the US dollar, at 19.78 against the euro, and at 22 Rand 39 cents against the British pound. Price of gold ever rising, $4,216 an ounce. Platinum at $1,619. Brent crude at $62.64 a barrel. More business after 8.
And straight to the news desk where we find the ever great Sfisa Zulu. Good morning.
Thank you, the ever great Bongani Bingwa. While political parties have largely welcomed greater than expected tax revenue of 19.7 billion rand, Action SA says this figure could be much higher if the screws are tightened on the illicit economy. Delivering the medium-term budget policy statement in Parliament yesterday, Finance Minister Ekurhuleni said the illicit trade is threatening the economy. SARS says government has lost an estimated 40 billion rand in excise revenue to the cigarette black market since 2020. Action SA's parliamentary leader Athol Trollip says there's room for improvement.
We could do so much better with revenue collection, not collecting more tax from the man in the street that earns a salary, and there are very few of us. It's about closing the illicit economy. I was very pleased to hear the minister talking about the illicit economy. But talk is cheap, money buys the whiskey. Unless we fund SAPS, SARS and the Border Management Authority, we are not going to clamp down on the illicit economy.
The Nyanga Community Policing Forum in Cape Town has condemned a mass shooting at the local taxi rank that left 2 women dead. 7 other people were wounded when several gunmen randomly opened fire yesterday. The motive for the shooting is unknown, and this is the 4th attack at this particular taxi rank just this year. Ntusuzelo reports.
In January, a taxi security guard was shot dead and 7 others were wounded during a shooting between rival factions within Taxi Association Carter. 3 months later, the association secretary Mongi Titi was shot and killed at the same taxi rank. Then 5 months after Titi's murder, Carter deputy chairperson Mnikeli Mgope became a victim of ongoing taxi violence in the metro. Nyanga CPF spokesperson Dumisani Kwebe says the community is still reeling from yesterday's mass shooting.
When we got the news of this mass shooting, we were very shocked and devastated because we were worried about the people who are using the public transport.
Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
The state in the murder case of student activist Caiphus Nyoka says apartheid police made him their special project and it was their mission to kill him. The Johannesburg High Court sitting in Benoni heard arguments in the case yesterday. Leon van der Berg, Abraham Engelbrecht and Peter Stander are accused of Nyoka's 1987 murder. The COSA's leader was shot multiple times by the accused in his Davidson home. Khomoso Modise reports.
The state believes the order to murder Caiphus Nyoka came from apartheid Major Leon van den Berg, who ordered Sergeants Abraham Engelbrecht and Peter Stanner to carry out the killing. Prosecutor advocate Daniel Mohotsi says the officers intended to murder Nyoka when they went to his home, and that's why Engelbrecht wore balaclava.
Why would accused number 2 wear balaclava? But he's under the command of accused number 1. Accused number 1 doesn't say, hey, look, what you are doing is we are just going to arrest. Accused number 1 doesn't say, no. Leave that balaclava behind.
The accused have opted not to give a defense, even though they do not deny shooting Nyoka. Judgment in the matter will be handed down next month. Khomoso Modise, Eyewitness News in Benoni.
And at least 37 people have been killed and 24 injured after a double-decker bus plunged into a ravine in Peru. The bus first collided with a truck. Authorities say the truck driver has been detained on suspicion of drunk driving. The accident is one of the worst in recent years in the South American nation, where road fatalities are frequent. Gauteng is fine, becoming partly cloudy later. The temperatures are at lows of 15 and 17 degrees, peaking at highs between 30 and 32.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North. This is as you leave Naturena towards the Diepkloof interchange. About a 15-minute hold up there. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 South coming out of the city of Tshwane Braakfontein interchange towards Olifantsfontein Road due to peak time delays.
The top story this hour, while political parties have largely welcomed greater than expected tax revenue of 19.7 billion rand, Action SA says this figure could be much higher.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
The Ekurhuleni Metro has now suspended Julius Mkhwanazi following these damning allegations of unlawful conduct. But this is the same city that protected this man for so long. This is in 2023, and yet he was still allowed to return to work. And at the time I interviewed Zweli Dlamini, who was speaking on behalf of the city, and he defended that decision. It was so wild. And I think the city must be held accountable for having protected this man for so long. And I suspect he was protected because if he does go down, other people in the city are going to go down too, probably including politicians. And I wonder how many other state employees have left their posts, or any worker, in fact, have left their companies because they just couldn't continue being part of a rotten system.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Why wait? Sell your right now and enjoy instant payment with a seamless experience. WeBuyCars isn't playing when it comes to buying cars. It's faster and easier than you think. Curious about what they'll offer? Visit webuycars.co.za today. Looking for your next ride? Explore a massive range of cars, bikes, boats, bakkies, and more, online or in-store. WeBuyCars, the best way.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Hi, Bongani. Zuko speaking. But then with this amendment, fine, I hear what you expect to say, but then the question is, who's then going to be responsible for firing? If somebody were to say they don't want to do something that a minister says, is the minister still allowed to fire the president? Because then, if that's the case, then it hasn't done much, has it? Thanks.
Look, as Dr. Chipkin says, there's still some road here on this bill, but in terms of its intentions, we're trying to get to the point where the politicians are not able to interfere. My worry is, and I can give you an example, Paul Mashatile, right? The man who would be next. The man is knocking on the doors of the union buildings. There's no fingerprint of any any wrongdoing, rather, on his part. Certainly nothing that I think would stick in a court of law. I know there are investigations still unfolding, but nothing that I can think of in the public domain, because so much of the things that are connected to him are done via proxies. And he'll be the first to tell you he doesn't award tenders, he's not responsible for procurement, and that his family are entitled to do business with the state. And if they then, having done business with the state and want lucrative contracts and want to be generous to him and give him use, say, of his palatial homes, in Waterfall and Constantia, homes that they've bought within a month of each other, homes to the value in excess of 30-40 million rand. If that's what they want to do, well, why shouldn't they? And who would he to be ungrateful for the kindness of his family members? Do you see what I mean? There are all sorts of ways already to get around some of these things, and I just wonder if it will be enough.
Morning, Bongani, Charlotte in Rotherport. We welcome the new bill, but I'm just hoping that we didn't take away the driver because he's involved in the design of the engine and the maintenance. But yet he's still the one who perhaps decides which car we must buy and how much and signs off the funding. So what I'm saying is, I hope they've checked all the other legislations so that they don't speak contrary to this bill, because that is usually the problem in our country, the fragmentation of the many pieces of legislations that we have, which may still be giving politicians some power to take some certain decisions. And clearly they shouldn't be, and this is what the bill is addressing, because some have shown to be incompetent to take certain decisions. So I hope those other pieces of legislations will not be contrary to this good bill. Thank you.
Great analogy there by Dr. Chipkin, by the way, who essentially says, look, if you want to understand what politicians are, they are the driver of the car. They decide the speed, the direction, how fast, when to go, which lane to take. They are the driver of the vehicle. They decide who the passenger in the vehicle is. But he says the administrative function is the engine of the vehicle. You surely don't want the driver also tinkering with the engine and trying to fix it and trying to maintain it. You want specialist technicians whose job it is to look at the mechanics and the functioning of the vehicle. And if that's where this bill takes us, well, here.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance. It's your chance to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. First, 1,000 Rand for the answer, and then a little later, 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask Outsurance for 500 Rand. Let's go to Boikanyo in Pretoria. Boikanyo, please give us today's answer.
Today's answer is 1969.
1969. And tell me, Boikanyo, have you got yourself a quote from Outsurance?
I'm a member with Outsurance.
Your biscuit. 1,000 Rand is coming your way. All thanks to Outsurance and 702. 1969 is the answer. What's the question? Call us if you know on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
Right, Cindy Paluta, I know you've worked all of this out. It's a little complicated, but just remind us again, why is this a big night for World Cup qualifiers?
Yeah, for the African continent indeed, because 4 sides go head-to-head tonight. It's Nigeria against Gabon and then DR Congo and Cameroon. Only 2 sides from tonight then play a little playoff final on Sunday. The winner of that goes to an intercontinental playoff in March. And from there, that team will qualify for the World Cup.
So essentially, this is, as you said earlier, a backdoor for teams that have not qualified through the regular process because
they
FIFA
lost.
wants additional teams.
Yeah, and also because they didn't perform well in the group stages. So we could see the end of the road for the Giants tonight, Nigeria, and we could see the end of the road for Cameroon as well. So it'll be interesting. Yeah.
I remember in 1990 when they played Cameroon, their first World Cup.
Oh wow!
Roger Miller was the big hero of that squad. How far things have come.
Sure. France must beat the Ukraine. A win for Norway over Estonia sees them to their first World Cup since 1998. And Portugal must beat the Republic of Ireland. The last time the sides met in 2021, it was a goalless game, and Ronaldo was booed every time he touched the ball. He said, "Please don't do that again."
Yeah, for me, it's a pleasure to coming to play here again. I hope they don't boo too much to me tomorrow. I swear that I'm going to try to be a good boy. But of course, I do it my job. I try to win the game and try to score to help my team. But the game will be difficult.
English Premier League side Wolves appointed Rob Edwards as manager. Wolves have not won a game in 11 played this season. Former Chelsea midfielder Oscar is in hospital after a routine fitness test at current club Sao Paulo revealed abnormal cardiac results. While using an exercise bike, he temporarily lost consciousness. 2 Portsmouth fans who dressed up as security in order to watch a sold-out game against Southampton have been banned from football matches for 3 years. The pair in full regalia managed to access restricted areas.
Would we have caught them?
I can't see how they were caught. I'm still trying to find out.
Would we have caught them in South Africa?
Never.
I wonder.
Never.
I wonder.
A friend of mine says if you ever want to get into anywhere, just wear a reflective jacket and carry a ladder. And then you just walk. Nobody will stop you. Springbok side to play Italy will be named later. Winger Edwin van der Merwe says the focus is on the breakdown.
Put a lot of emphasis on slowing the ball down or going to steal the ball. So that will be a key focus for us. And then just whatever they throw at us, to not match it, but to overpower them with what we do.
Kick-off on Saturday is 2:40, and at the ATP final, Sinner beats Zverev 6-4, 6-3 to go to the semi-finals. Ben Shelton is out after he was beaten by Augier Sim, who won the match 4-6, 7-6 and 7-5. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
As leaders in renewable energy finance, Nedbank has a track record spanning over 100 years. From pioneering large-scale solar and wind farms to financing complex energy infrastructure in emerging markets, Nedbank offers clients deep sector expertise, combined with the ability to navigate the unique challenges of Africa's just energy transition. See money differently. Nedbank, Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
Summer's almost here, and so is the magic of the Stodels pot promotion. For a limited time, enjoy up to 50% off pots of every size, shape and color. Big or small, indoor or outdoor, plastic or ceramic. There's something special about finding the perfect pot, the one that brings color, life and joy to your garden. Hurry, this once-a-year event ends 16 November. Visit your nearest Stodels Garden Centre today. Stodels, create happiness.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Citroen. Buy an Aircross from 279,000 Rand or a C3 from 262,000 Rand with a service plan and get a 4-month payment holiday. Visit citroen.co.za. T's and C's apply. There's a crash in Naturina, Amo.
That's correct, Bongani. It's right near the Golden Highway on the N1 North. It's causing delays coming out of the N12, about a 15-minute hold up there. And if you continue making your way towards Roodepoort via the N1 North, do expect heavier traffic volumes. This is due to peak time pressure between the Soweto Highway and Albertina Sisulu off-ramp. And if you are traveling in the Calvin area, we've got those roadworks that are taking place between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baku interchange, really causing heavy traffic volumes. So please try to find alternative routes like the M1 North heading towards areas like Woodmead as well as Sunny Hill instead. I'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Thinking about rolling in a new Citroen C3?
Did you just pause the ad?
Yep, like how we pause your installments. That's 4 months, no payments.
I got you. And the C3's got rear sensors, reverse camera, a warranty, and service plan.
Press pause on payments and play on life. Get the Citroen C3 from 264,500 and enjoy a 4-month payment holiday. Visit citroen.co.za. T's and C's apply.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Artsurance. Please tell me what's the question. If the answer is 1969, let's go to the lines. I think we've got Butumelo there on the line in Roodepoort. Butumelo, what's the question?
The question is, what year was actor Gerald Butler born?
Oh, it means it's James Butler. Gerard Butler, yes, born on this day in 1969. You know him, of course, for so many movies. 300 is certainly one. I want you to listen to this clip from the Howard Stern show where he demonstrates how easily he can switch from one accent to another. And as you do that, Butumelo, of course, you can celebrate the fact that you've got 2,000 Rand in cash coming your way, all thanks to Artsurance and 702. I want you to try and say, I'm so happy in a different accent.
I'm so happy.
What accent is that, Butumelo?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Congratulations. Let's listen to Gerard Butler.
How hard is it for you to remove your Scottish accent when you go up for a role?
Most people in movies speak in a general American accent.
Right.
So, and I don't try and focus on one person because then you're going to start getting caught up in their habits. But as much as watching TV and movies, what you do is you work with a dialect coach, and literally you sit and you run sounds. So you'll be like, it's for your eye, because in Scotland we say bright light.
Yeah.
We go eye. In America they go bright light. So you go, it's a bright light on a fine night but the thing is, there's the same rule for every accent. So I is a certain sound in America, and oo for moon. In Scotland we go moon, or we go good, and in Americans go good.
So if I said to you, say the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain without your accent.
Okay, hold on. Hold on, because you got to get your mind.
This is the hardest thing, I think.
Okay, the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain.
Wow.
Normally you do warm-ups, because for American, you got to relax the lips, relax the tongue, and you got to just start talking.
It's good. It's good. What's your favorite accent? How good are you with accents? And what's the one that you guarantee yourself on? If you had to win the lotto today, they ask you to do that accent, you would win it. Send us a WhatsApp voice note and let's hear.
You could spend 10 minutes waiting for that video to download. Or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. SMS out to 45142. Like 57-year-old Andy, who now pays only 1,083 Rand a month for his 2024 Ford Ranger. With Outsurance Comprehensive, you get 24/7 roadside assistance in case you break down, run out of petrol, lock your keys in the car, and more. Get used to getting more out. SMS out to 45142. After switching, 48-year-old Felicity now pays only 836 Rand a month for her 2020 Hyundai Tucson. Outsurance will either save you money on your car insurance or give you cash. That's right. If Outsurance can't beat what you're currently paying, ask them for 500 Rand. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you have nothing to lose. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online. Limits apply.
Hi, this is Alia Itzebet, Hollywood Bets brand ambassador. A reminder that you can still shoot for the stars while playing responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counselling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
At Auto and General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto and General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto and General, never not there. Auto and General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
702
702. What's gone viral?
with Kabazela.
Let's catch up now with the world of viral content. He's back, Kabazela.
Good morning to you, Belle.
This is a really interesting one. Earlier, we were speaking about unconventional views on marriage, and now the debate is kids or no kids.
Yeah, so this woman posted a video of herself in a bikini in her lounge, from what it looks like. And in the caption, she states, "Woke up stressed, then remembered I'm child-free and not at an 8 a.m. Paw Patrol birthday with 20 screaming kids."
Yeah.
Now, we could look at this from 2 points of view. It's either she's maybe, doesn't have her children for the day, or her herself has made the decision or taken the decision with her partner to have a life without children. They decided they don't want to have kids. So she doesn't have kids for any medical reasons. That's a different issue. But they've, as a couple, have taken that decision not to have children. And the person who took her video and posted it online, his caption is, "I can't explain how sad and cringe this really is." And there are thousands of comments on this video, Bongs, and there's millions of views. And the majority of the comments are negative towards the person or this lady because she is celebrating the fact that she does not have children. So the question I wanted to ask the 702 family this morning is, why do people get offended if people who have no children, because that's their choice, celebrate the fact that they do not have children and are happy that they do not have children? It's a really interesting question, I think, to ask. And it seems as a lot of the men are touched by this video, by the way.
I found that surprising, to be honest with you. I had not expected that the majority of the comments would disagree with this woman, whilst people, of course, may make different choices for themselves. I would have thought, gosh, in 2025, that is such a valid choice. And anybody who is a parent will tell you what it costs to raise a child. And somebody who chooses to say, actually, I'll make a different choice with my life, I think that's a perfectly valid thing to do, valid option to take if you are in a position and, having kids is not a big thing for you. So I was surprised, but maybe let's put it out there. Why does it push people's buttons, particularly if it's a woman who chooses not to have kids. I wonder if people care as much if a man says they don't want to have kids, but with women, it seems to upset people. Tell us why.
We get told to wait for things. Wait for the right moment. Wait for a rainy day. Wait till the cows come home. Cows? Really? Well, the waiting is over because the Decofurn Furniture Black Friday Super Sale is now on, and with 15 to 40% and more off everything for the whole of November. What are you waiting for? The Decofurn Black Friday Super Sale, now on, in-store or at decofurnsa.co.za.
PSG Asset Management sees opportunities others have missed. Like that stock, once up, now down. We thought good price and started our in-depth research there. Turns out it was a quality undervalued company working hard to restore market confidence to deliver soaring returns when they did. Because for us, a good price is just the beginning. To partner with us, contact your financial advisor or visit psg.co.za. PSG Asset Management Pty Limited is an authorized financial services provider and part of PSG Financial Services Group, a licensed controlling company.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for optometrists, surgeons, and other medical specialists. Here's Chrissy.
Business Outsurance is the best insurer for my business. They have great premiums, wonderful service. I know without a doubt that Outsurance has my back, and you always get something out with Outsurance.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
702. Feedback with Baphelile Sambo.
Baphelile, good morning.
Good morning, Bongani.
I mean, let's start with Kabazela's question. Why do you think it presses the buttons of so many when a woman chooses not to have children?
I think because it's the idea that women are meant to have children. And when you decide otherwise, we look at you like, why? You know, especially for the ones who already have children and they tell us, I don't have children yet, but they keep telling me you don't know love until you have your own children. You don't know unconditional love before you have your own children. So I think they want us to also experience that other side of motherhood. I don't know. Yeah, it might be one of those
It feels to
things.
me like it's just this idea that women are these baby-making machines.
Yeah,
and you're
that could also
judged
be, yeah.
if you don't play your part in the greater drama.
It is one of those things. I'm not opposed to kids, but I'm also, like we were saying off air, maybe I should be waiting a little bit. The things that you were sharing, that it takes a lot. It's not just, I'm also considering maybe I should be waiting a little bit more.
All right, what else do you have?
Bongani, it seems for our question on marriages, unconventional views that people have, it seems like a lot of 702 lenders are slowly moving away from traditional marriages. Some are exploring alternative relationship style. They're saying commitment is just for the paper, while others have completely given up on marriages. They're saying that it's no longer till death do us apart, but till the weekend do us apart. Here for a good time, not a long
the
time.
weekend is when we come together. Till Monday.
That's when we just get together and we have a relationship. During the week, we are focused on other things.
We're all weekend specials these days, hey?
But others are asking, should we maybe go back to arranged marriages that our parents did for us? I think that's a good question we should put out.
There's an argument. I think there's an argument to be made about arranged marriages.
Yeah, I think my mom she's a better partner for me. She knows me better than anybody else. Like, she knows me in and out. My mom knows what I like. I think she'd be in a good position to say, Baphelile, this person is for you. And I'll agree with her. I'll definitely agree if my mom was to do that for me.
Is she listening?
No, she's not. And our big interview with Dr. Chipkin on the Public Savers Bill, we received a WhatsApp message from Stuart saying this is great news as it separates the powers of politicians from the actual work being done. He goes on to say that civil servants might finally stick around when the politicians move on because they won't owe any political favors. Maybe, just maybe, we'll see a more professional public service.
I mean, can you imagine some future date, hopefully not too far away, where even young people aspire to service and want to work in the public sector because it is an honorable job to do, where you know you will be protected, you will not be asked to do things that are unlawful or unethical, and that your future, your career won't blow with every political wind? Imagine that, eh?
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
This is EWN.
Dion George has been fired. His leader explains why, and the finance minister raises the alarm about a ghost worker government crisis. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. DA leader John Steenhuisen has dismissed suggestions that he asked President Cyril Ramaphosa to fire Dion George as Minister of Forestries, Fisheries and the Environment due to alleged underperformance and external pressures. George, who's been in Brazil this week attending the world's biggest climate summit, COP30, officially received the chop last night and has been replaced by the party spokesperson Willie Okamp. Ramaphosa, acting on Steenhuisen's request, has put to bed almost a week of speculation about a mini reshuffle. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
Just more than 15 months into the Government of National Unity, the DA is making the first changes to its executive lineup of 6 ministers and 6 deputy ministers. Leader John Steenhuisen says there was no malicious intent behind Dion George's removal.
Like any organisation and any government in the world, you assess how things are going and you obviously try and move people around to make sure you're getting the maximum benefit of that.
Steenhuisen says following the axing of former Deputy Trade Minister Andrew Whitfield by President Cyril Ramaphosa in June, he thought George would be a perfect fit.
Given the importance of the trade relationship that you're speaking to, his obvious ties with the US, his expertise in economics and finance, he was the DA's finance spokesperson, and I really thought he would do a wonderful job.
With George having turned down the job, Steenhuisen put forward the party's Alexandra Abrams instead, who has now been endorsed by the president. Steenhuisen says the new appointments will strengthen the DA's contribution to the GNU. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
National Treasury says it's already started the process of eliminating almost 9,000 ghost workers from the government payroll. National Treasury, in the medium-term budget policy statement tabled by Minister Enoch Godongwana yesterday, says that the department was able to flag more than 8,800 cases where people were receiving payments from multiple departments. The removal of ghost workers is also part of Treasury's efforts to boost efficiency and reduce government waste through its savings initiative. Babalon Denza reports.
National Treasury says its ghost worker removal program has found how people are drawing salaries despite being inactive employees or had bank account anomalies. It says the ghost worker identification process will also identify individuals appearing on multiple government systems. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana also stated that their savings initiative will also root out social grant fraud and double dipping. But Director General Duncan Peterson says the ghost worker numbers still need further verification.
The ghost workers as well, around 9,000. So what we've done there is that we've worked closely with the Revenue Service colleagues in terms of the tax data, the confidential and anonymized tax data, using the personnel data that we as the Treasury have.
Peterson says they will only be able to tell how much money has been lost to ghost employees once the verification process is complete. Babalon Dancer, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
A request for bodyguards was made by City of Ekurhuleni officials who were tasked with probing alleged criminal kingpin Vusmuzi Kat Matlala in the blue light saga. Matlala was unlawfully granted the use of blue lights for his private security vehicles following a fraudulent agreement struck between him and an EMPD senior officer in October 2021. The officer, Julius Mkwanazi, was the director of specialized services within EMPD at the time. The initial probe by the City of Ekurhuleni into Mkwanazi's conduct was seen as a high-risk and dangerous task. Oren Singh reports.
When City of Ekurhuleni officials began probing Julius Mkwanazi's agreement with criminally accused Tenders Haikun Vusumuzi Kat Matlala, there was a genuine fear of risk to their lives. Yesterday, former divisional head for employee relations at the City of Ekurhuleni, Xolani Ngiza, testified before the Madlanga Commission, raising concerns about their safety. Ngiza, together with EMPD head Isaac Mapayeye, were given the green light to draft a precautionary suspension letter to serve on Mkwanazi. Ngiza referred to messages he sent to the former head of human resources.
I indicated that we need bodyguards. That was my first message. My second message was, I'm sorry, but we are going into war here.
He says the head of HR was apprehensive, claiming the Tembisa hospital scandal ended up in a murder. This was in direct reference to the case of slain whistleblower Babito Deokaran. Ngiza will resume his testimony this morning. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
And emails released by Democrats in the U.S. say that Jeffrey Epstein suggested U.S. President Donald Trump knew about the disgraced financier's abuse and spent hours with one of the victims at his house. Trump has repeatedly denied any knowledge of the sex trafficking activities of his former friend, who died by suicide in 2019 while in prison awaiting trial, and accused Democrats of trying to deflect from their own failings. But the scandal has proved tough for Trump to shake, and Democrats on the House Oversight Committee said that the 3 new emails raised serious questions about Trump and his knowledge of Epstein's crimes. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson says he will hold a vote next week on a bid to force the Justice Department to release the remaining Epstein files. Gold is trading at $4,206.63 an ounce. The rand is at 17.08 to the dollar, 22.41 to the pound, 19.79 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $62.64 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays reported on the N3 North. This is between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu interchange. That's due to roadworks. There's also queuing traffic on the southerly direction of this route due to the same roadworks. If you're traveling on the M1 South, delays between the Baklu interchange and Grayston Drive.
And in your sport, Proteas coach Shukri Conrad says the Spinners can win the match. They're playing India in a first test tomorrow morning. Jam-packed night of FIFA World Cup qualifiers ahead. Springbok side to play Italy will be announced this afternoon at 2. And at the ATP Masters, Yannick Sinner through semi-finals. Ben Shelton is knocked out.
Gauteng is fine, becoming partly cloudy later with isolated afternoon thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 30 and 32 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. DA leader John Steenhuisen has dismissed suggestions that he asked President Cyril Ramaphosa to fire Dion George as Minister of Forestries, Fisheries and the Environment due to the alleged underperformance or external pressures.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
8 after 8, your reaction to all that we've raised on the show so far this morning. Revisiting apartheid-era crimes. The TRC inquiry stalls, and of course that Caiphus Nyoga trial nearing its end. We've already had one conviction there, one Johan Marais confessing to being a part of the murder of Caiphus Nyoga in Davidton under apartheid, as special branch officers murdered him. The judge found that he wasn't sufficiently contrite even though he confessed, so he's serving 15 years in jail. But still no explanations for so many families who do not know even where the remains of their loved ones might have ended up. Game changer for governance, the Public Service Bill passed. Dr. Ivor Chipkin says it is possibly as significant as the passing of the Constitution in the mid-90s in this country. He says it could completely change public accountability and decision-making, that we will finally have a professional public service that will not be afraid of what the politicians might do to them should they stick to the letter of the law. And I suppose the point about democracy is that it will go through stress tests from time to time. That's what we're seeing in the United States at the moment. A well-established democracy, often described as the world's oldest, facing its stiffest test. Whatever our problems, ours continues to be stress test, and sometimes we pass and sometimes we don't.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Kabazela wants to know why it is. So I'd love to hear firstly from women who have made this choice not to have children. But he wants to know why it is that it's such a button for many others who have made different choices. If you've chosen to have kids, why does it bother you that, Mary or Upinki are choosing not to have kids? And why is it that men don't seem to get quite the same response. Is it, as I suggest, because women are still seen as these baby-making machines? That's all really they're here for. And therefore, when she doesn't want to take part in that choice, you can't understand, you can't justify her very existence. In 2025, is that still the attitude we ought to be having? Amo, you're a mother. Does it press your buttons if somebody else chooses not to have kids?
It doesn't bother me at all. The same if somebody says they don't want to have kids and then tomorrow they have a child. I'm not bothered at all because I'm one of the people that used to say, I don't want to have kids. And my reason was really baseless. I didn't know why I didn't want to have kids until I had them. And I'm happy. And people ask me, oh, what happened because you never wanted children? No, I changed my mind. Because you are entitled, it's your body.
Also the fact that people think they're entitled to an answer
Yeah,
to
they
that
are.
question.
They ask you. I have a friend who's achieved so much in her life, and the first question she normally gets is, so now that you've achieved all of these, are you going to get a baby? Are you, it matters not whether a woman is married or they want to have a kid or they don't want. That question always comes out.
Funny how men don't quite get the same question.
Mm-mm.
Ours is a very different one. They just want to know where the wife is, hey? Hey, Mutel?
Yeah, it's that. But I think the baby question is coming up more now with men because it's a measure, I don't know, it's become a funny measure of are you a man or not? Can you make a baby, So I've become more aware not to ask people that question, men or women. There's a lot of sensitivity, some medical as well. So just stay out of people's business. Just let them handle their own business.
Because, I mean, if having babies is the measure of what maketh a man, my gosh.
702
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani and 702. This is Yolande from Centurion. When it comes to relationships and my conventional beliefs, I really, really do believe that a man is a provider, a woman is a nurturer. This business of 50-50 really doesn't make sense to me because I do believe that everybody has a role to play. We are all equal but have different roles to play. And that's what I believe because I'm never going to be a man. And I'm never going to be, and a man is never going to be a woman. Everybody has to know their roles. A man is a provider and the woman is the nurturer. And we play our roles accordingly. But sometimes it works for some people, sometimes it doesn't. But I just feel like there are some basics that we should all just follow, such as what I've just mentioned here.
Bongani, my views on relationships, first of all, hookup culture. Hookup culture is going to be the end of humanity. And I've pretty much given up on relationships because everyone's just out for a good time, not a long time.
Bungle 702 lenders, happy Thursday. Relationships and marriages. Often people misunderstand me that I'm against marriages. And I'm not. I think I just see the way that people treat each other, especially around me, growing up with lots of brothers, and I can see the female role in these relationships. I'm not one for that, and I think I will never actually be in type of a role. I've been single for the longest time now and I'm happy with it. So I just feel like the traditional part of the society forced the ladies to kind of not be themselves in most of the relationships, and they have settled to be comfortable with that, whereby I feel like the male part of a relationship has gaining more. Like they get away with so much crime, so much murder, if I may put it like that. And it's okay. So for me, no, it can't work. So yeah, happy single myself. Thanks guys for a great show. Shadi, Kempton Park.
Shadi, appreciate that voice note. Look, each to his own, hey? Each to his own. Some people like the traditional model that one is a provider and the other is a nurturer. And if that's what works for you, power and peace be unto you. Doesn't work for everyone, clearly. We've got Lulama in Winchester Hills. You haven't spoken to us in a while, Lulama. Good morning.
Good morning, Bongani. I have been listening in, though. Morning, the whole team.
Good to know, good to know, good to know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So to each their own, whatever they're saying, however the saying goes, Bongs, you know. So I'm 53 years old now, and I have young. So my eldest is just 30, then 23, then 19. So the youngest is first year university. Another one's mission university next year, middle child. And the eldest obviously getting on with his life, and it's been the most amazing blessing. I've had it easy. It's been a walk in the park. Obviously, life has its challenges, school fees, and getting up in the morning for that 9-year-old. You get up for a 8 o'clock match just for 30 minutes in the morning for cricket or for soccer, and and then the right through, you get involved, cultural activities, academics, and then at my age, then again, you're all by yourself. Those kids are they're gone. They're living their own lives, So you're thinking, what was the fuss about? So interestingly enough, I wake up with this a question myself this morning, where I've got young people around me getting married, and they're having kids. And the one couple was asking me if, what I think. And I'm like, you know what? It's each to their own. You can have them, not have them. In my next life, I'm definitely not having children. Bongani, as you say, it's such a responsibility.
Yep.
It is a huge responsibility. It's a daily one as well. You can't take time off being a parent.
Yep.
Or parenting.
No matter how old they get.
My children know I'm not having them, just so that, I'm not having kids again, so that they know that it's no beef with them, but they know how involved, I've been with them. So, and the other thing, if you're going to have children, you also need to think it through. Or it's not that whole thing, which you get married, you have children. It's that life traditional thing that you didn't think it through. You have to think, okay, you also don't want to be having kids like you are 50 and you still have like an 8-year-old. I'm not judging anybody, but it's planning as well.
Well, look, you might say it's planning, but for somebody who gets to that age and makes that choice, that might be precisely what they have chosen. That might be part of their plan, because now they're in a financial position where they can finally make that choice. As you say, each to their own. Appreciate that call, Lulama. Timothy, you're in Pretoria. Good morning.
Good morning, Bongani. Look, I didn't want to call in, but just listen to this conversation. I just decided to call in. I'm an openly gay man who's about to reach the age of 50. And listening to you and other gay men that have kids, I walk around with this guilty consciousness that why don't I have kids? Or I'm going to, the family tree from, it's going to end with me because I chose not to have kids, or it's a decision that is just going to jeopardize the family. So I'm walking around with this thing thinking, is it wrong for me as an openly gay man not to have kids? Or should I have kids? And if I have kids, what is the reason of me having kids?
Well, I mean, you'd have to explain to me. You can decide whether or not to have kids just based on who you are, who you prefer to love. I'm not sure has very much to do with it. Or am I missing something there, Timothy?
No, you're not, Bongani. It's just, who I choose to love. It's my choice. But the thing is, with me as an openly gay man, I worry that, there's a family tree lineage that is going to end with me because I choose not to have kids. So that guiltiness is just, I'm walking around with it.
Sure, no. And all I'm saying is, in 2025, that is no longer really as much of a question as it once was. I think what's before you is whether you want to have a kid or not. Any and everything else is a completely separate discussion entirely. But I understand why the question arises for you, and it's a tricky one. I don't know if having kids necessarily makes anything else go away. I don't think having kids solves problems. I think that's the other thing we've got to think about. Sammy, you get the last word on this. Having kids or not having kids, even for men, you say it's a pressure?
For men, it's worse. You get insulted. You get people telling that bet against you, especially at work. They don't want to take to you anymore. Like, for example, myself, I've been told that I'm impotent, that I'm scared of women, that I don't want to take responsibility. Like some horrible things. So, and it's from both genders.
Sure.
I've been told by both men and women. Some people don't want to talk to me anymore. because I don't want to have children. So it's these people that tell people you don't want to have children and so on. They are just horrible. So it's horror out there.
I'm so sorry, Sammy. How do you deal with that?
I don't know. It's just that for me, if you're not part of my family, and you are negative towards me, I don't care about you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you cannot you're big against me, I don't care. You know, you're not gonna come to my funeral. You're not gonna come. You're not gonna help me when I'm sick. So I just switch it off.
Big hug to you, man. That really sounds painful. A big hug to you. And listen, you know the truth. You know the truth, and
yes,
that should be what carries you through. But I can imagine when people make all kinds of assumptions and even voice them, when it really is none of their business. We all think we're strong. We all think we can, handle ourselves. But it must get to you at times.
I don't, like for me, if I'm at work, I've told myself, when I'm at work, I'm going to switch off my feelings. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to concentrate on my work. So if you're going to say stuff about me, I'm just going to switch it off. I'm just going to forget that you exist. So I just move on.
And maybe hearing someone like you, Sammy, will at least help somebody else. If there's somebody who is thinking it's any of their business to ask a colleague about what family they have or choose to have, maybe a conversation like this will give them pause. So by sharing your story, maybe you're helping somebody else, Sammy. Thank you for your call and a big hug to you, mate.
You're welcome.
All right, Sammy from Pretoria there. Gosh, right? Mateo, I mean, just got 2025.
Yeah, it's what I was saying earlier. You'll get the random question of, you're at a certain age, you should have a kid by now. But then there's people who will insult you about being impotent, Tawabasadi, all sorts of things will be thrown around. And maybe at that time, at that stage in your life, you probably career focused, you're studying and you feel like you don't have the capacity to be a parent at that particular time. And it's your choice to make, whether you become a parent late or at whatever stage in your life.
And even if it's true, I mean, I don't understand how you can say that to somebody. Let's assume it is true that somebody is impotent. What business of yours is it?
People are jajarak.
Good morning, Bongs and the listeners. About the issue of men being offended by women who do not want to have kids. I'm one of those people, and my reason is simple. Because I'm actually a Christian myself, and I believe, according to Christianity, we're here in this world to multiply. So if you were given a chance to be in this world, why must you be so selfish for you not to give another person a chance to be in this world? Because you will die at the end of the day. Thanks.
EWN Traffic.
Yeah, I get defeated sometimes. This EWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Why are there delays on the M1 North, Amo?
An accident, Bongani, right near the Jan Smuts Avenue exit. It's causing delays coming out of Boyson's Road. Please be on the lookout there. There's also queuing traffic on the M1 South between the Baklu Interchange and Grayston Drive. Speaking of Grayston Drive, in the Sandton CBD, an accident reported right after the M1 causing delays. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a parent and a nervous but excited kid practicing her lines to put on a show-stopping performance at the school play. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a future superstar on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Let's count backward. 5. Insurance. 4. Pineapple. 3. Insurance. 2. Pineapple. 1. You're under.
Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Flight Centre's big red sale is back. 21 October to 14 November. Save up to 50% on tours, 35% on cruises, and massive deals on Thailand, Mauritius, and the Maldives. Even local flights from 1,900 Rand return. Now that's a win. Plus, 2 kids stay and eat free on selected breaks. The world's waiting. The deals are calling. So, get to your nearest Flight Centre store today. T's and C's apply. Flight Centre, your centre for travel.
Hi, this is Carol Shabalala, Hollywood Bets brand ambassador. It's more fun when it's for fun. Playing responsibly is always a winning strategy. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counseling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
For the first time ever, the G20 summit is being hosted on African soil. Solidarity, equality, sustainability. Tune in tomorrow for the G20 Correspondence Desk, brought to you by RMB and FNB, divisions of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, monks. Kolile here. Personally, I don't have an issue with people choosing not to have kids. My only issue is when those very people want to tell us how bad our kids are, especially if they don't get their way. So if they send our kid and our kid is probably refusing, or the kid says, look, I'm still busy, mom is or dad has sent me there, then they want to tell us how not well mannered our kids are. So that's my only problem.
702 The World View
with Adam Gilchrist.
All right, we do have that connection now. Adam, a very good morning to you. This Epstein issue is not going away for Donald Trump, is it?
It's not, and it emerges and he dismisses it, and often he absolutely disproves that there's any smoking gun, as it were, and sometimes you think, oh, maybe there's a whiff of smoke. It's difficult to tell. But this latest raft of 20,000 pages of documents that have been released by US lawmakers at the request of the Republicans, is this a smokescreen? Just fill everything up with 20,000 pages, when the Democrats had actually released 3 emails themselves of Jeffrey Epstein's, linking Epstein to Trump. Donald Trump never denied knowing Jeffrey Epstein. It's just he said that they were never great mates and that he called off the relationship before all the charges and the convictions, indeed, of Epstein and partners. In the emails, for instance, there are just references to Donald Trump as being the dog that hasn't barked yet, and he hasn't been investigated by the police. Yes, that's interesting, says Ghislaine Maxwell in her email reply. There's absolutely no proof of anything. But overnight now, the US Congress has said, right, we want all the files. All the files should be released, some of which I believe are in presidential hands and others elsewhere. And let's have a proper look at all of this. Whether we all get to see them, of course, is another matter. And I confess, I haven't read 20,000 pages of emails.
Yeah, no. Somebody will make no mistake about that. Talking of the US, Adam, the forces are gathering in the Caribbean.
An extraordinary thing, this. The US has moved one of its most advanced warships, an aircraft carrier called the USS Gerald R. Ford, and a nuclear submarine, and 8 other warships in what is the biggest build-up by the American military in the Caribbean for decades. In fact, it recalls Grenada in 1983. Remember what happened then? It is known that Donald Trump is not a fan of the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro. So all of this is just off the coast of Venezuela. But the stated aim is to combat drug trafficking. And the US military and Coast Guard have indeed already attacked, they say, 19 narco boats and killed around 80 people. There are those saying there's no transparency. It's not clear who they're targeting, who they've got. Are there innocents in this? We don't know because there's no accountability. But also, if you're combating drug smuggling boats, do you really want to send in an aircraft carrier and a nuclear submarine? Is that the way? I mean, is that not an enormous great sledgehammer to crack several small nuts? So many people are thinking, is this going to be some sort of ground-based operation, even if against specifically drugs gangs within Venezuela? Could you send American troops in or fighter jets over Venezuelan territory? It makes some people very uneasy. And draw from this what you will, but there are media reports in America that the UK has withdrawn intelligence cooperation over what's happening in the Caribbean and South America. So the UK is saying, we're not happy with what's going on. We'll just take a step back. Thanks very much.
Weapons of mass destruction, anyone? Adam Gilchrist with this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
Wrapping up business news now. Muteo Kharipe, Woolies posting improved earnings.
Woolworths reported a decent trading performance for the first 19 weeks of its 2026 financial year. The retailer says the strong operational performance is driven by strong growth in its on-demand delivery service Woolies Dash. Sales for its delivery app surged 24% during the period, helping to lift the retailer's total online channel to 7.3% of all SA food sales. Now, the retailer announced that group turnover grew by 6.2% compared to the prior period.
Vodacom to partner with Musk's Starlink.
Vodacom Group has announced an agreement with a satellite broadband provider Starlink. Through the partnership, the group aims to deliver high-speed, low-latency broadband internet to millions of businesses across Africa and to expand to rural network coverage. Starlink is currently available in 25 markets on the continent, but is not yet available in South Africa, and the same will remain in this particular deal. Although Vodacom will help them throughout the continent, the deal excludes South Africa at this stage. Now, regulator ICASA has not issued new network or service licenses since 15 years. The only way to obtain them is to acquire them from existing holders and apply to ICASA for a transfer, which might be a possible loophole for Starlink.
They find them, don't they? Where's the rand?
17.08 against the US dollar, at 19 rand 78 cents against the euro, and at 22 rand 41 cents against the British pound. The price of gold, $4,210 an ounce, or platinum is at $1,616. Brent crude now at $62.66 a barrel. Stephen Grotes to handle business later this afternoon.
Talking of handling of business, not everyone believes the finance minister did as well as he could have. Sfiso.
That's right, Bongani. And these are some labour unions who believe National Treasury missed the mark on some key issues in the medium-term budget policy statement. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana delivered the mini-budget in Parliament yesterday. While economists have described the macroeconomic picture as better than expected, some unions are not sold on government's policy stance. Nogukayam Dambo has the details.
Union Nahau says it rejects Treasury's fiscal stance of growing the primary fiscal surplus when it knows that the past decade of sustained budgetary cuts have devastated the capacity and capability of the public sector. Nahau has also rejected the revision of the inflation targeting framework, which it says is not balanced with the utilization of monetary policy in pursuing the targeting of employment creation and economic growth rate. The South African Federation of Trade Unions says the mini-budget offers false optimism in a broken economy. SAFTU says while Treasury claims fiscal constraints prevent the implementation of a basic income grant, billions are lost to corporate tax evasion, illicit outflows and procurement theft. Nahau and SAFTU believe what they term socio-economic stagnation will persist until steps are taken to ensure social protection of vulnerable households. Nogukhanya Mdambo, Eyewitness News.
The Nyanga Community Policing Forum in Cape Town has condemned a mass shooting at the local taxi rank that left 2 women dead. 8 other people have been wounded after several gunmen randomly opened fire yesterday. The motive for the shooting is unknown, and this is the 4th attack at this particular taxi rank just this year. Ntutuzelo Nene reports.
In January, a taxi security guard was shot dead and 7 others were wounded during a shooting between rival factions within Taxi Association Kata. 3 months later, the association secretary Mongi Titi was shot and killed at the same taxi rank. Then 5 months after Titi's murder, Kata deputy chairperson Mnikeli Mgope became a victim of ongoing taxi violence in the metro. Nyanga CPF spokesperson Dumisani Kwebe says the community is still reeling from yesterday's mass shooting.
When we got the news of this mass shooting, we were very shocked and devastated because we were worried about the people who are using the public transport.
Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
The state in the murder case of student activist Kefas Nyoka says apartheid police made him their special project and it was their mission to kill him. The Johannesburg High Court sitting in Benoni heard arguments in the case yesterday. Leon van der Berg, Abraham Engelbrecht and Peter Stander are accused of Nyoka's 1987 murder. The course's leader was shot multiple times by the accused in his Davidton home. Khumaso Modisa reports.
The state believes the order to murder Caiphus Nyoka came from apartheid Major Leon van den Berg, who ordered Sergeants Abraham Engelbrecht and Peter Stander to carry out the killing. Prosecutor advocate Daniel Mogotsi says the officers intended to murder Nyoka when they went to his home, and that's why Engelbrecht wore balaclava.
Why would accused number 2 wear balaclava? But he's under the command of accused number 1. Accused number 1 doesn't say, hey, look, what you are doing is we are just going to arrest. Accused number 1 doesn't say, no, leave that balaclava behind.
The accused have opted not to give a defense, even though they do not deny shooting Nyoka. Judgment in the matter will be handed down next month. Kgomoso Modise, Eyewitness News in Benoni.
Gauteng is fine, becoming partly cloudy later with isolated afternoon thundershowers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 30 and 32 degrees.
And in the traffic, we've got delays along the R24 West. This is between the OR Tambo interchange and the Sander Road. That's due to roadworks along this route. And there's more roadworks along the N3 North between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu interchange.
The top story this hour, some labour unions believe National Treasury missed the mark on some key issues in the medium-term budget policy statement.
As leaders in renewable energy finance, Nedbank has a track record spanning over 100 years. From pioneering large-scale solar and wind farms to financing complex energy infrastructure in emerging markets, Nedbank offers clients deep sector expertise, combined with the ability to navigate the unique challenges of Africa's just energy transition. See money differently. Nedbank. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
At Isuzu, we know every delivery, every kilometer, and every load is building something bigger. This truck month, set your business up for success with special deals across the Isuzu N and F-Series ranges. Don't get left behind. Speak to your Isuzu truck specialist or call 08600 Isuzu and secure your truck month deal today. Isuzu, with you for the long run. T's and C's apply.
This Thursday marks the first day of the second annual National Construction Summit. It's being hosted by the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure and the Construction Industry Development Board. The Clement Manyatalo Show will be live from the summit, sharing updates and more intel throughout the morning. So if you work in construction or are simply interested in finding out how the government is planning to solve issues affecting South African infrastructure, well then don't miss the Clement Manyatalo Show live from the second annual National Construction Summit.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani. Whenever I think of this issue of not having a child, Bongani, ngizwa ngathi ngakhala, Bongani, angazi ngiyenzeni. I'm so sad, Bongani. I'm 45. I don't have a kid, and I love kids, Bongani. Never want to call my own. I don't have someone who call me Father, Bongani. Anonymous. Thank you.
Morning, Mr. Bongani and the listeners. You can ask any e-hailing driver if they've never came across that question. We get to be asked that question almost every day. Do you have kids? How many kids do you have? Do you have a wife? And some people feel like you're entitled to answer that kind of a question. Hence, they feel like they are entitled to ask that question as well. Last point here.
Last one, I hear you. I wonder if people are just making conversation, maybe with, as a rider in a car, and they're thinking maybe, if you can tell them about your family, about your home life, maybe it's as simple as that, really. But if it feels intrusive, then you need to obviously find a way to explain to your rider that perhaps that's not the conversation you want to have with them. But I also want to respond to the very, very obviously pained voice note we heard from Anonymous there, and it just breaks one's heart. This desire that you have that so many take for granted. I mean, there are so many men who have fathered babies, and I'm saying that in inverted commas because they never show up even really after the baby is born, and there you are. This is all you want in life, and it's just something you haven't been able to achieve. My heart goes out to you, Anonymous. I wish I could make it go away for you. I wish I could make it go away for you. And it must be particularly heartbreaking when you hear stories of fathers who will not show up for their kids, who are not responsible, who are, deadbeat dads. It must be really, really particularly hard to swallow. But we do each have our little cross to bury, to carry in life, to bear in life, do we not? My heart goes out to you, man. I wish I could say something to make it better, but it is just one of those.
EWN Sport.
Hey, Sydney, isn't it extraordinary how something so many people take for granted, perhaps don't even appreciate, is one person's greatest desire?
So I think it was also, and I always say this, but I think it's very important for people to hear time and time again, because you never hear this message until you need it, until it's for you, is that the South African Depression and Anxiety Group is available on 0800 456 789, and they have a 24-hour helpline because, for those of us who don't experience this, we don't realize how debilitating it can be and have a knock-on effect on your everyday life. And there's always help. There's always hope. So you just need to reach out to something like SADAG, where they have a directory of people who they can send you to.
And without making too light of the moment, I must start calling you Mrs. Polluter now, because my phone, when I say Cindy, Siri thinks I'm talking. Did you hear? I didn't catch that because I said Cindy, and the phone thought I said.
Siri thought, yeah. Anyway, Proteas play India tomorrow in the first test at Eden Gardens. Coach Shukri Conrad knows the match will be won by the spinners and that it's possibly their biggest one to date.
Look, India, tough challenge anywhere in the world, and when you come to an iconic venue like Eden Gardens, and it just makes it even tougher. I don't think you can compare the quality of the sides we played against to India. Certainly in my 20th match, I don't think there's been a bigger challenge. Yes, we had the final against Australia that we won, which was massive. I compare this series and this match to that final. That's how big it is for us.
I'm remembering 1996.
Yeah, boy.
Lance Klusener.
Okay.
8 for 64.
Yeah.
His best bowling figures at Eden Gardens.
Yeah.
I'm hoping in the next few days we'll be talking about a similar performance from one of our Proteas.
Hope so too. This morning, New Zealand beat the West Indies by 8 wickets in a fifth T20. They won the series 3-1, while locally tonight, the T20 Challenge Province away at Tuskers. FIFA World Cup qualifiers tonight. Will it be the end of the road for Nigeria, who play Gabon, or DR Congo and Cameroon? The winners from tonight go through to a playoff on Sunday. Sunday's winner advances to the Intercontinental playoff in March. Nigeria's back in training after boycotting over unresolved bonuses and payments.
Belarus. In Europe, France must beat the Ukraine. Same for Norway over Estonia and Portugal against the Republic of Ireland. While England has already qualified, they play Serbia. England coach Thomas Tuchel says the players still have a lot to play for.
What we're trying is to build a strong bond, to build an energy, to build a group, to build a team, to build a brotherhood that everyone wants to join, and to also build a competition and to open up a competition that everyone knows if I pull out in the wrong moment, if the door can be closed because someone else takes my shirt, someone else takes my place.
Springbok sides play Italy will be named this afternoon. Winger Edwin van der Merwe on what they're expecting from the Italians.
The big physical guys, so physical contest, which is what we pride ourselves as well as South Africans. So we're very good on the weekend, but also they have players who can create moments of magic from the back, so it'll be a very good challenge on the weekend.
Kick-off on Saturdays at 2:40. Back home, the Bulls extended Jan-Hendrik Wessels and Cameron Hanekom's contract to the end of the 2028 season. And in tennis at the ATP Finals today, Fritz up against Amina Alcaraz plays Musetti. Yesterday, Sinner advanced the semi-finals. Shelton was knocked out. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
All right, let's catch up with the roads. 8:45, wrap up the morning's traffic. Amo?
Well, Bongani, we still have got delays on the M1 North. Remember that accident that happened right after Jan Smuts Avenue? It's causing about a 15-minute hold-up coming out of the double-decker section. And also do remember that we've got peak time delays here as well, adding on to those delays. While traveling on the Mike 1 South, delays between the Buccleuch interchange and Grayston Drive off-ramp. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North. This is due to the roadworks that are taking place along this route. Delays between Vincent Chabalala Road and Buccleuch interchange, and more roadworks are causing delays heading towards the city of Tshwane. This is on the R21 North, approaching Olifantsfontein Road. Please be on the lookout there. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The all-new Audi A5 has arrived with a panoramic sunroof that changes transparency and a B&O sound system built into the headrests. Every detail makes driving feel like an art form. Visit your Audi dealership, book a test drive, and experience the Audi A5 from 14,499 Rand per month with a guaranteed future value. Visit audi.co.za for more. T's and C's apply, and it's brought to you by Audi Financial Services, a division of Volkswagen Financial Services South Africa Pty Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Day 20, awaiting proof of payment. Day 30, still waiting. Day 40, funds finally cleared. In business, credit with 55 interest-free days keeps you moving. We get it. Get an Absa Business Credit Card. Use over 50% of your credit and initiation fees will be on us. Offer ends 31 December 2025. Apply at absa.co.za/business. Absa is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply. Absa, your story matters.
Hey guys, this is Robert Marawa, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. Playing responsibly is part of the winning strategy. Make smart choices and continue to score. If you or someone that you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counseling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
You know what success looks like. Now discover why focus is the driving force behind every success story. Catch 702 in conversation with Momentum on The Money Show with Stephen Critters every Wednesday, discussing the science of success. Step into the mindset of top financial achievers and discover how your thinking, behavior, and focus can shape lasting financial success. Don't miss Momentum's Science of Success Festival 2025, streaming live on 14 November. Register now on momentum.co.za. Momentum, your journey to success on 702. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Coming up
On the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
Let's catch up with Clement Manyatela to see what is on the Clement Manyatela Show a little later today. Clement, of course, you are at this fantastic construction summit. It sounds like it's quite a buzz out there.
It is a buzz, even though that there are some delays because of accreditation. They're expected to start at 9. I suspect they're probably going to move that by an hour or so. But we are in Boksburg. We're at the Birchwood Hotel this morning. This is where the second annual National Construction Summit hosted by the Department of Public Works is taking place. And there are many discussions that will be taking place, including one on improving efficiency of infrastructure delivery and performance, progress and updates in efforts to combat the construction mafia, and also how the government plans to eliminate construction site disruptions and many other issues. So we'll bring in some officials from the Public Works and Infrastructure Department. The President will also be addressing the summit later on. But between 10 and 11 o'clock, we're going to do our hanging out feature. And today I'm really excited to be hanging out with jazz royalty Tandin Duli. She's incredible. I've had the pleasure of seeing her live, and she's going to be performing, in fact, together with Gregory Porter next week in Johannesburg. So she joins us between 10 and 11 o'clock. And then at 11 o'clock, we do our Thursday dialogue. And today, we're going to be taking the listeners live to Parliament because there's an important witness at the parliamentary inquiry, Cedric Nkabinde, the Chief of Staff for Senzo Mkhunu, who's on special leave. That's what's coming up on the show.
Ooh, that moment is certainly going to be one worth watching. Clement Manyatela on your radio between 9 and 12.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Morning, Bongani. As always, incredible topics to give people some food for thought. And you're right, if people can be educated about the impact of their uneducated questions or unknowledgeable, just making judgments on people they don't know. As an example, I know you're talking about men specifically, but my late husband's family, when we visited once, they were all over him for not having kids, like, oh, what's wrong with you? You have no, aren't you a man? And that kind of thing, without knowing the struggles that we had trying to get pregnant. And they just judge. We were fortunate and blessed to have babies much later in life. He had 4 years with those beautiful, beautiful, precious twins we have, but people just don't know. We had 4 miscarriages, and there was nothing wrong with him. However, people have no idea of the impact of when they say silly things that they have no understanding or knowledge about. So I hope people will actually think about their words. Don't ask, don't judge. If you don't genuinely care, it's none of your business.
Hi, Bongani. The question of having children, I think, is answered in 2 parts. I think the first one is, why is society so particularly upset when women don't have children? I think, and I hate to say it, but it goes back to the idea of patriarchy, right? The idea that a woman's place and purpose is to nurture, bear children, and look after the home. And so when people don't do that, then people's internalized and often unchecked and unnoticed biases come out, including the idea that she's breaking the mold. And so people have a negative reaction to that. The idea as to why society feels some type of way when people don't have children, I think it's often parents who just can't admit to themselves that sometimes they wish they'd made a different decision. Not because they don't love their kids and they love their kids, but they are unable to say, I am tired, I wish I did not have kids today, and that'd be okay, and move on. I've always found that parents who are able to do that are often more able to accept people who don't have kids as a choice and not as a medical or social problem.
We project so much, of our own fears, insecurities onto other people. These questions, what kind of man are you? What kind of woman are you? Aren't you a man? Don't do that. If there's nothing else you can take from our experience of 702 and the conversations we have, let it be that we educate each other, not just about politics and current affairs, but we educate each other about how to be better people around each other, how to be less hurtful, to think of our impact, the impact of our words, the impact of our attitudes, and to also accept there's a hell of a lot we just don't know, and that's okay.
At Auto in General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto and General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto and General, never not there. Auto and General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Take the ultimate spin with 10bet and me, Andy Lengube, to win a luxury BMW X3. Join 10bet.co.za. Play selected games. Every 10 rands you play earns you points. Hit the top of the leaderboard and the prize could be yours. T's and C's apply. 10bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. License number 921096661.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
Oh man, Miriam Makeba, Prahu Masekela, Lucky Dube, even Solomon Linda. This, of course, a reflection of a century of sound, a legacy like no other. Gallo Music, Africa's oldest surviving record company, marking 100 years of shaping South Africa's musical soul since its founding in 1926 by Eric Gallo. I'm joined now by Ekurhuleni Sikile, who is the head of sync curation and playlist at Gallo Music. It's been a century of just magic, has it not? Good morning.
Good morning, Bongani. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Tell me about this 100th birthday for Gallo next February.
It actually starts February into the year. You know, when you turn a year older, I believe you have a year to celebrate that solar return. So the whole of next year will be dedicated to the centenary, and there'll be lots happening. And I believe 702 will be a part of that as well. It'll be really amazing.
I mean, I mentioned Miriam Makeba, Hugh Masekela, but going all the way back to people like Solomon Linda, what was the landscape as far as music is concerned when Gallo was formed?
The musical landscape there was no musical landscape to start with in South Africa, especially as far as the recording industry goes. Gallo was part of the formation of the South African recording industry, and Solomon Linda is a good example because that was one of the very first recorded music in South Africa, and recorded in South Africa, because if you remember, Eric Gallo imported and bought a studio from the UK, from London to be specific, and that's when the first recording studio in South Africa was founded in downtown Joburg. So it's a big milestone to see how the musical landscape was shaped and how it's been since then in 1939, because that's when Imbube with Solomon and Linda, by Solomon Linda and the Evening Birds, came out, up to now, where almost everybody has either a tablet, a phone device, or a laptop where they can make music.
Yeah, I mean, Solomon Linda is a particularly instructive story in terms of the journey of making music and recording it, because as you know, he died penniless, but his song Imbube, The Lion Sleeps Tonight, whichever version you choose to use, is one of the most famous songs in the world, and record companies haven't always had the best of reputations. How has Gallo navigated those concerns, perhaps even controversies?
Gallo in 2025 and in the last couple of years has been, it's a really we're in our game-changing mode. We are one of the best companies, not only the longest surviving, but the way we do business, the way we treat artists, the way we partner with artists, by the way, is very different to how other record companies are doing it. So it's amazing to be a part of that space and a part of that paradigm shift where we can look at artists as equal, because they are. In fact, they are more equal than us, because without artists and music, there wouldn't be record labels. So when you look at how that Solomon Linda thing situation was played out, rather, with Pete Seeger stealing the song and sending it into Him Away, and Solomon Linda getting 10 shillings for that and selling his entire copyright for just 10 shillings, which I believe is the equivalent of like 1 rand today. I'm not sure. But it's changed a lot, the paradigm shift. I'm very excited, and I know a lot of people I work with at Gallo. It's new hope. People talk about future-proofing businesses, etc., and I think we're in a really good position with the way we work. And we invite people to just experience. It's not always easy to see how record companies and music publishers work because it's a very complex world, but the paradigm shift is really amazing, and I'm glad to be a part of it, like I said.
All right, talk to us about your catalog. I mean, over 100 years, you've worked as a company with one or two greats.
Oh, a lot of greats. Miriam Makeba, who you mentioned, started at Gallo with the Manhattan Brothers, with the Cuban Brothers, with the Skylarks, Merira Butapi, and the contemporaries then, Bo Mam Dorothy Masuka, Botolira Ted in the 50s. These ladies were huge. I mean, they were big. They were superstars. And part of my job as Gallo as curator is to make sure do not forget their legacies. And there are other artists like Mahlati.
Oh, the line just cut there. Mahlatini and the Mahotela Queens. I imagine he was going to say, and of course I've already mentioned the fantastic Lucky Dube. It goes all the way back to 1926, this music, an impressive catalogue. And the spotlight will certainly be on the centenary in February 2026. We're going to be there to celebrate. So keep watching this space. We will be giving you more details about Gallo's 100 years. Oh man, umama uyajabula qho mangifike ekhaya. Why don't I make that true and say I'll see you bright and early for the Friday edition, 7:02 breakfast.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Police Minister Senzo Mkunu's Chief of Staff, Cedric Nkabinde, will take the hot seat when the Parliament's ad hoc committee probing police corruption resumes this morning. Nkabinde's appearance comes a few weeks after Mkunu's testimony, where he denied allegations of corruption and interference in police operations. Nkabinde is also expected to face similar questions about his role, leading to Mkunu's directive to disband